Chapter 410. Puff. Xiaoqin found that he couldn't be coy when he was with Tang Tang. Let's go to the bathroom. This Chong Sam is strangling me. It's almost deformed. Tang Tang began to unzip the Chong Sam as she walked. What deformed? Xiaoqin was stunned. You're thin now. How can the Chong Sam deform? It's not the Chong Sam. It's my breasts. Tang Tang took off half of the Chong Sam and stuck it on her waist. She was relieved. I'm thin but my breasts aren't. They weren't so big before. It's not good if they're big. Xiaoqin said casually. It's good for you. It sounds cumbersome to me. But let's go. I can help you. Tang Tang pushed Xiaoqin into the bathroom. Xiaoqin was shocked. He had to admire Tang Tang. She was not shy at all. But this was good. He liked it. Goddess Shen probably wouldn't help him with this kind of thing for a while. He closed the bathroom door and Spring Garden was locked inside. The readers who wanted to read it were not allowed to see it. It was a quiet night. In the early morning of the next day, Xiaoqin left quietly. Yu Xiaochuan would definitely take Tang Tang to visit some guests of the Yu family. So, it was not good for Xiaoqin to be here. If he weren't a cultivator, he probably wouldn't be able to walk at this moment. This night, he was tormented to the point where he couldn't get up. Tang Tang was a relatively bold woman who dared to try anything. So, although Xiaoqin felt good, he also consumed a lot of physical strength. Walking out of the courtyard of the villa, he didn't walk far before a car drove over quickly. It was an Audi A8L Yu Xiaochuan's car. Xiaoqin had seen this car before. The car drove so fast that Xiaoqin thought that Yu Xiaochuan was unhappy and wanted to kill him. But the car stopped in front of him. Yu Xiaochuan was excited. White Fox hero, how is it? Tang Tang is not bad, right? Well, not bad. Xiaoqin's legs went weak at the thought of the previous scene. Haha, then get in the car. I'll send you back. Yu Xiaochuan invited. No need. I drove here. The car is parked nearby, said Xiaoqin. It's okay, then I'll send you to the car. Yu Xiaochuan insisted. All right. Xiaoqin nodded. Anyway, the photo of White Fox driving the Land Rover had already been exposed, so it didn't matter to him. When the time came, he could just say that he borrowed Xiaoqin's car. After getting into the car, Yu Xiaochuan started the engine and said, Hero White Fox, if you want to come in the future, just contact me directly and I'll arrange it for you. Yu Xiaochuan, do you have no feelings for Tang Tang now? Xiaoqin couldn't help but ask. In his opinion, this guy was retarded to a certain extent. Even if he wanted to curry favor with me, he didn't have to give me his new wife to play with, right? Hero White Fox, to tell you the truth, you also know that I practice the Chrysanthemum treasure book, so now I have no interest in women? Yu Xiaochuan said, so you can rest assured that Tang Tang and I will get along as sisters in the future. I won't touch her. Then don't scare her. Xiaoqin reminded. I won't. Yu Xiaochuan smiled shyly. Then if I have any trouble in the future, can I find you? Yes. Xiaoqin nodded and did not refuse. Since Yu Xiaochuan was already like this, the grudge between him and Xiaoqin in the past had also faded a lot. There was no substantial conflict of interest between the two of them, nor was there a situation where they could not coexist under the same sky. Great. Yu Xiaochuan nodded and parked the car next to the Land Rover according to Xiaoqin's instructions. At this moment, Yu Xiaochuan already knew the identity of Xiaoqin as White Fox, so even if he saw the car, he did not ask much. He just pretended not to notice and said, Hero White Fox, then I won't see you off. I'll go back to find Tang Tang and compare her statement. At that time, I will tell the Yu family that you are the pharmacist I invited to treat Tang Tang. The problem in her body has not been completely cured. If it is not treated regularly, it will return to its previous state. Yu Xiaochuan had already thought of an excuse. In fact, it was Xiaoqin who gave him the excuse, but he was happy to use it now. After getting into the car, Xiaoqin took out his phone and looked at the time. However, he realized that there was a string of missed calls. It was actually from Goddess Shen. Perhaps because he didn't pick up the call, she sent him a text. There were only 2 words in it. Xiaoqin's heart skipped a beat when he saw it. After hesitating for a moment, Xiaoqin still called Xin Jingxian. The phone rang for a while, but Xin Jingxian did not answer. Xiaoqin thought that Xin Jingxian had fallen asleep. When he was about to hang up, the call was connected. However, after the call was connected, no one spoke, only a slight breathing sound. Xiaoqin could tell that it was Xin Jingxuan's voice. Jingxian. Xiaoqin said. You. Where are you? Xin Jingxian asked. I just came out of Yu's villa. Xiaoqin did not hide it. Oh. Xin Jingxian seemed to be relieved. You didn't lie to me this time? I didn't lie to you before. Xiao Chen said. Then you and Yi Xiaoya. Xin Jingxian left the wedding banquet today. She did not see Xiao Chen leave, so she deliberately asked her father to park the car near Xiao Chen's car and waited for Xiao Chen to come out. She wanted to see what he would do after the wedding banquet. However, after waiting for a long time, she still did not see him, so she could only go home first. When she got home, Xin Jingxian tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. She could not help but call Xiao Chen. This was the first time she took the initiative to call Xiao Chen since the start of their Cold War. However, Xiao Chen didn't pick up. In fact, Xiao Chen had already entered the bathroom with Tang Tang at that time. He felt like he was on cloud 9 and couldn't hear anything. However, Xiao Chen did not answer the phone, which made Xin Jingxian even more confused. She called him a few more times, but he still did not answer. She could not help but angrily send 2 words over. She did not need to think to know what Xiao Chen and Tang Tang were doing. However, after sending it over, Xin Jingxian was a little regretful. Was she still the rational person she used to be? It seemed that after being with Xiao Chen, her emotions became unstable, and she was very easy to get angry. This had not happened in the past 10 years. Fortunately, Xiao Chen still remembered to call her back after having fun. My relationship with Yi Xiaoya is very complicated. I can't explain it clearly. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. You can't explain it to me? Xin Jingxian did not know why she suddenly felt wronged and ashamed. Xiao Chen did not hide anything from her before, but now, thinking of this, she directly hung up the phone. Xiao Chen looked at the phone that was hung up and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Yi Xiaoya was not his woman. He also promised Yi Xiaoya to keep the matter of dual cultivation with Yi Xiaoya a secret, so even if it was Xin Jingxian, he could not casually say it. It was not that Xiao Chen deliberately deceived Yi Xiaoya, but he also had to be responsible for Yi Xiaoya. After all, it was related to Yi Xiaoya's clean reputation. If she had been clear about her relationship with Xiao Chen like Tang Tang, what would Xiao Chen have to hide? Alas, Xiao Chen could not help but sigh, feeling that his goddess's IQ had suddenly been pulled down. How could the smart goddess become a love idiot now? However, it was not Xin Jingshuan's fault. Love was blind most of the time, including Xiao Chen himself. When he was in number 1 middle school, his eyes were full of Xin Jingxian, and he ignored the good of the young lady. When he drove back to the villa, the young lady had already fallen asleep. She had eaten at the wedding banquet, so she would not go to Xiao Chen when she got home. Seeing that the door of Xiao Chen's room was closed, she did not disturb him. She did not expect that he was actually not at home. After parking the car in the yard, Xiao Chen tiptoed back to his room. After settling everything, he went upstairs to find Yi Xiaoya for dual cultivation. Maybe because of Tang Tang's serious kidney deficiency today, Xiao Chen did not have the usual impulse for Yi Xiaoya. It seemed that it was good to vent his desire before dual cultivation in the future, so that he would not have bad thoughts about Yi Xiaoya. In the blink of an eye, it was Friday. During this period, Xiao Chen was not short of money. The medicinal materials were given to him by Hongzhu for free. He did not need to worry about making money anymore, and his days became a lot more leisurely. But to Xiao Chen's regret, there was still no news about the ancient jade. Although he posted a high reward for the task, no one contacted him, which made him feel somewhat helpless. This thing was really hard to find. As for the masked girl who said she would give him the ancient jade, there was no news. Xiao Chen secretly cursed the big liar. She made it sound nice and said that she would give him the ancient jade after the matter was over. But the matter had passed for several days and she did not come again. How could these martial arts people be so pompous now? They could say nice things, but if they could not do it, they should not say it. He had waited for so many days in vain. After Yang Tan failed in all aspects of coercion and temptation, he also stopped for a few days. Except for taking a seat during the break when Xiao Chen was not there, when Xiao Chen came back, he left without Xiao Chen saying anything. It was worth mentioning that the registration for the basketball game was coming to an end. On Friday afternoon, the registered players of each class came to the school gymnasium, ready to have a mixed game to select the official players and the substitute players. Of course, the strong ones would play and the weak ones would wait for the spot in case they needed to substitute. As for the selection, it was not possible because there were only a few people in each class who signed up. Only one official player would be selected, and the others would be substitutes. Xiao Chen was also a registered player. He came to the gymnasium together with Zheng Xiaoquan, Lu Jinming, Thin Monkey, and Ma Gangmen. Yang Tan and Xia Shibin also followed them. Cousin Menjing that Yang Tan is sneaky. It seems that he is going to harm our cousin-in-law. Jin Beibei said, should we go and have a look? Go and see what? Watch Xiao Chen get beaten up? Qing Menjing asked. Chapter 411. Let's go and watch Yang Tan get beaten up, Jin Beibei said. Isn't he an expert from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Can Xiaoqin defeat him? Qing Minjing was slightly stunned. Besides, it's the stadium and the teachers are there too. How can he fight in front of so many people? He can fight secretly. My cousin-in-law is a transformer, Jin Beibei said with a smile. Let's go and have a look. Alright. Qing Minjing didn't want to go at first. It was just a qualifier and it wasn't intense at all. Even if she went, she would only be wasting time and watching everyone bicker about who would go up and who wouldn't. Song Huawu naturally went too. She was also afraid that Xiaoqin would fight with Yang Jianan after being at a disadvantage in the basketball game. In that case, it would be a big problem. When they arrived at the stadium, the people who signed up were divided into two teams. There was no requirement for the number of people in each team. As long as both teams were equal, it would be fine. Moreover, the teachers did not specify the specific positions and responsibilities of each person. It was because it was impossible to have any teamwork in the first qualifier. Everyone was not familiar with each other. How could they cooperate? The main thing was for the PE teachers to see the individual standards of these people and gather the good ones into a team to participate in the competition. Xiaoqin, Ma Gangmin and Jing Xiaoquan were in the same team, while Yang Tan and Xia Shibin chose another team. His purpose was to teach Xiaoqin a lesson. How could he be in the same team as them? In this way, grade 12 class 1, which was not very good at sports, suddenly became the class with the largest number of people participating in the competition. The two teams started to warm up under the guidance of the two PE teachers. Then they told them some things to take note of. The students who came to watch sat on the chairs next to the stadium. Some even took out drinks to drink and some went to buy snacks. It was just like a sports meeting. Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei found a seat and sat down. Lu Zhiming ran over with a lot of popcorn and drinks. He passed them to Jin Beibei happily. Beibei, how is it? Are you satisfied with these? In fact, Lu Zhiming had given up pursuing Qing Minjing. However, because of the special relationship between Qing Minjing, Jin Beibei, and Xiaoqin, he still had to please them. Not bad. Little Lu, you did very well. Don't worry, I have a very good relationship with Swordsman White Fox. I will put in a good word for you next time. Jin Beibei took the snacks and praised him. Beibei, when did you become so close to Hero White Fox? Qing Minjing was baffled. If I have a good relationship with Sister Jingxian, it naturally means that I have a good relationship with brother-in-law, said Jin Beibei. Oh, don't call me brother-in-law. I can't even tell if you're talking about Xiaoqin or White Fox. Qing Minjing slapped her forehead and was speechless. Xiaoqin, White Fox, you are so silly that you can't tell them apart, said Jin Beibei with a smile. Then call them by their names. Qing Minjing thought that Jin Beibei was mocking her. She immediately glared at her. Lu Zhiming rubbed his hands and sat down with Slim Monkey. Then he said worriedly, Minjing Beibei, do you think Boss Xiaoqin will be at a disadvantage? He doesn't have any internal force. What if he is at a disadvantage in Yang Tan's hands? There are so many teachers watching. They are only competing in basketball skills. There shouldn't be any problems, Qing Minjing said. Actually, Xiaoqin's basketball skills are quite good. Wow, cousin Minjing is starting to pay attention to her cousin-in-law. Jin Beibei giggled. I told you not to call me cousin-in-law or brother-in-law. I can't tell them apart. Qing Minjing said angrily. Then don't tell them apart. They are about the same, said Jin Beibei. About the same. You can sleep with your cousin-in-law today and your brother-in-law tomorrow. Isn't it about the same? Qing Minjing said angrily. It really is about the same. Jin Beibei mumbled. I don't want to explain it to you. You won't understand. Qing Minjing was somewhat speechless. I don't want to explain it to you either. You won't understand, Jin Beibei said in a low voice. Are you asking for a beating? Qing Minjing was furious. Was Jin Beibei purposely bickering with her? All right. Let's not fight among ourselves. Let's keep a close eye on them. Don't let Yang Tan play any dirty tricks. Lu Zhiming hurried to smooth things over. Slim Monkey, have you bought the binoculars? Yes. Slim Monkey nodded. He took out 4 binoculars from his bag and distributed them to Lu Zhiming. It seemed like he was really going to watch the game. The PE teacher finally finished explaining the rules. These people did not play basketball often. Therefore, the PE teacher could only repeat the rules tirelessly in case those who did not understand went up and embarrassed themselves. Alright, I hope that everyone can give their best. After all, this is the last large-scale activity in our high school years. Next, you will be preparing for the college entrance examination. Even if there are activities, there won't be such a large-scale basketball league. The players who signed up for the game nodded. In fact, except for a few who had ulterior motives, most of them signed up for the game so that they would not have any regrets in their high school life. I won't say much. Before the game, the boys of your two teams should discuss with each other and see how to play. That way you can have a preliminary understanding of each other. The PE teacher said to the players of both teams. Xiaochen was about to turn around and discuss with his teammates. However, before he left, a hand blocked his way. Wuxia Shibin. What are you doing? Are you in the wrong team? You are over there. Xiaochen pointed to the opposite team. Xia Shibin's face was a little ugly. Xiaochen simply did not treat him as a master from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. This guy is really annoying. If we weren't in school, I would have already beaten him up. Xiaochen, I will ask you a question now. Xia Shibin naturally stopped Xiaochen for Yang Tan. At this time Yang Tan walked over and looked at Xiaochen. He said indifferently, "Are you willing to change seats with me?" "I'm not willing," Xiaochen replied expressionlessly. Hee, very good. Since you are not willing, then I advise you not to participate in the basketball game. Give up as soon as possible. Otherwise, when you are in the hospital, your seat will be mine. Yang Tan looked at Xiaochen arrogantly. The threat in his eyes was undisguised. You came to find me just to say this nonsense? I know you will definitely use some tricks in a while. It doesn't matter. Xiaochen said, "Don't you know that when I was in number 1 middle school I was called the Prince of Basketball? Don't you know that I used to be the prodigal Xiaochen? When it comes to tricks I am better than you." Hee, let's wait and see. Yang Tan did not expect Xiaochen to be so arrogant. He did not say much and turned to leave. He already knew that Xiaochen was a good-for-nothing without internal energy. Therefore, when he used a little internal energy, Xiaochen could only admit defeat. "Do you dare to make a bet with me?" The reason why Yang Tan was so proud was that he had investigated before. When Xiaochen was in number 1 middle school, his last basketball game was tricked by Qin Jinping's internal energy. "What do you want to bet?" Xiaochen asked. "If our team wins you will change seats with me." Yang Tan said, "Do you dare to? If you are a man, say it." "This isn't right? If you win I will change seats with you. If I win I won't get anything?" "I won't get anything?" Xiaochen looked at Yang Tan with a faint smile. "You can't win, but for the sake of fairness you can make a request." Yang Tan said indifferently. "If I win you get out of this school." Xiaochen said. "That won't do. I can't leave whether I win or lose. I have a mission." Yang Tan was not stupid. Although he felt that he would definitely not lose, he would not make a promise on this kind of thing. "How about this, if you lose you get that kid Chao En's out of Songning City? I believe you can do it, right? He is from the Law Enforcement Hall of the Warrior Guild. It shouldn't be difficult for you to get him to leave, right?" Xiaochen said sarcastically, "If you can't even do something like this, then I'll really doubt your ability. Don't bet with me." "What?" Yang Tan was stunned. What does this have to do with Chao En's? Why does it have to do with him? What does this have to do with Xiaochen? Chao En's and Xiaochen did not have any interaction. Wasn't Chao En's here to investigate the White Fox? He likes Cheng Menjing. I don't need to say more about the relationship between Cheng Menjing and me, right? Xiaochen rolled his eyes. He had already thought of an excuse. Oh. Yang Tan was stunned. He seemed to vaguely remember that Chao En said that he and Cheng Menjing were former classmates, and he was going to visit the Cheng family. Thinking about it, this was not a loss for him at all, so he said, "Okay, if you win, I will let him go." "Okay, then the bet is in effect." After Yang Tan finished speaking, he turned around and walked to his team. In fact, the so-called discussion of countermeasures, everyone couldn't come up with a solution. Now everyone didn't know each other's level. They all felt that they were very bad guesses, and they were not convinced by each other. They all felt that their ideas were right. However, it was still fine on Xiaochen's side. Ma Gangmen directly glared and said to the other team members, "Don't talk. Listen to what Boss Xiaochen has to say." Ma Gangmen was a school bully. Although they heard that he was beaten by Xiaochen a while ago, it didn't affect everyone's fear of him. Moreover, he spoke for Xiaochen who beat him up, so these team members didn't dare to be rash. "In a while, try to pass the basketball to me. I will attack," Xiaochen said. Okay. Everyone agreed, but it was unknown whether they took it to heart. Anyway, when the game was on, it wasn't up to Xiaochen and Ma Gangmen to decide. Moreover, this basketball game was a large-scale school event. Ma Gangmen was just threatening them verbally. Even if these people agreed on the surface, Ma Gangmen didn't dare to really beat them up. If he beat them up, who would participate in the game? As the referee blew the whistle, the two teams on the basketball court gathered and stood on one side. Don't make any big movements in the game. The game comes second and friendship comes first. Just play your level. Don't think about those useless little tricks. After the referee finished, he asked the students on both sides to stand. Chapter 4:12. Xia Shibin looked at Xiaoqin provocatively and gave him the middle finger. However, Xiaoqin happened to turn his head to talk to Ma Gangmen at the side, so he did not see it. Xia Shibin was a little depressed. If Xiaoqin did not see it, wouldn't it be a waste of his gesture? This kind of gesture was meant for the parties involved to see. If the parties involved could not see it, what was the difference between it and him doing it at home? Therefore, Xia Shibin had no choice but to keep his finger pointed at Xiaoqin, hoping that he would turn his head to look at his finger after he finished speaking. Otherwise, it would be a waste of his gesture. Jean Beibei pointed at Xia Shibin and said to the PE teacher, "Teacher, there is something wrong with Xia Shibin's finger. He wants to withdraw from the competition." The PE teacher looked up and saw Xia Shibin raising his middle finger. He was a little annoyed at once. "Xia Shibin, what's wrong with you? Are you going to compete or not? If not, get off the stage." My finger hurts a little. I just casually raised it." Xia Shibin was very depressed and could only withdraw his finger resentfully. At this time, Xiaoqin also turned his head. He gave Xia Shibin the middle finger twice in surprise and said, "Is there something wrong with your finger?" Xiaoqin's tone and action seemed to be copied from him, but Xia Shibin knew that Xiaoqin was looking down on him. However, he could not say anything. He could only snort coldly and stare at Xiaoqin, wishing he could go over and beat him up. Both teams get into position. The referee shouted. With the referee's jump ball in the middle of the court, the competition officially began. Although the skills of these students were not very good, they still performed well. Obviously, they had watched a lot of competitions and were good at pretending to be cool. However, they were all the kind of people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. They began to snatch the ball fiercely and showed off their prowess. They had forgotten their promise to pass the ball to Xiaoqin before they went on the court. But very quickly the ball fell into the hands of Yang Tan. Facing the burly Yang Tan and Xia Shibin who was opening the way, these students were a little timid. Some of them wanted to go up and snatch the ball, but Xia Shibin's small action made them unable to straighten their backs. Xia Shibin was a martial artist. It was too easy for him to pull some tricks behind the referee's back. Although the other students could not find any evidence, they knew that it was Xia Shibin's tricks. They knew that they were not to be trifled with, so no one dared to go up to defend and let them charge across the field. Xiaoqin was really helpless. These people. They were the kind of people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. They felt that Ma Gangmen did not dare to attack them openly, so they did not take the previous words to heart. Now that the ball was snatched and they met a ruthless person, they hid behind. There was no other way. It could only be Xiaoqin, Ma Gangmen, and Jing Xiaoquan rushing over to watch them. However, Yang Tan was obviously a veteran on the court. He was not just a simple martial artist. When he saw Xiaoqin rushing over, he suddenly dribbled and changed direction. Then he directly passed Xiaoqin and ran to the basket. *CK, it's inner force again. Xiaoqin almost got angry. Back then, Qin Jinping used inner force and now Yang Tan was also using inner force. Xiaoqin wanted to play with him properly, but this guy broke the rules first. If he did not use inner force at the last minute, he would not be able to pass Xiaoqin's defense at all. Only with the speed of a martial artist, Xiaoqin could not defend against it with the standard of an ordinary person. Yang Tan was ready to shoot, but Xiaoqin quickly ran under the basket. He did not go up to block but just waited below. This made Yang Tan slightly stunned. He thought to himself that this kid knew that he could not defend, so he gave up or something. He had already run over, but he did not jump up and let me go. However, Yang Tan had already taken off. He could not care so much and directly shot. However, what made Yang Tan's eyes almost pop out was that the basketball that should have entered the basket hit the side of the basket directly, bounced up, and fell down. It happened to be caught by Xiaoqin, who was standing below. What was going on? Yang Tan was quite confident in his inner force. Not to mention a basketball, he could even throw a cannonball in, but he missed. Xiaoqin picked up the basketball and ran. He ignored the stunned Yang Tan standing there and sneered in his heart. "I am a cultivator after all. Can't I handle your inner force?" He directly used air manipulation and the basketball changed direction. After being stunned for a while, Yang Tan realized that it was not good. However, he saw that Xiao Chen had already run away, and Xia Shibin was already chasing after him. He quickly ran to chase after him, but Xiao Chen's speed was too fast. Xia Shibin could not catch up with him even though he was following behind. Xia Shibin did not want to run too fast compared to ordinary people, so he did not use his inner force. However, it seemed that he had to use his inner force now, so he quickly used his inner force to chase after him. However, before Xiao Chen reached the basket, he started shooting from beyond the three-point line, which caught Xia Shibin unprepared. When he used his inner force to catch up, Xiao Chen had already completed the shot. The basketball brushed the board and went into the basket. Xiao Chen scored. As the scoring began, the enthusiasm of the students watching the game soared. They all applauded and cheered. It was very exciting. "Come on, cousin-in-law." Jean Bebe waved the snacks in her hand to encourage Xiao Chen. "Don't call him that." Cheng Minjing glared at Jean Bebe. "You can cheer for him, but don't call him cousin-in-law." "Oh, come on, brother-in-law Xiao Chen." Jean Bebe roared. "Just sit down." Cheng Minjing pressed Jean Bebe back to her seat. "Let me do it." Lu Jinming ran to the edge of the court and waved his hands. "Boss Xiao Chen, come on. Beat Yang Tan and Xia Shibin." The game continued. Although Xiao Chen scored, the basketball still fell into someone else's hands. Xia Shibin's eyes were sharp. He snatched it and threw it to Yang Tan. Yang Tan ran to shoot. Xiao Chen chased after him and Ma Gangmen defended in front. However, Yang Tan went around him in a flash. Then he suddenly pointed with his left hand. Ma Gangmen directly squatted on the ground without being seen by the people in the court. In fact, it only made him lose his breath. He did not cause any damage. Therefore, when the referee saw it, he could only think that Ma Gangmen had lost his breath. "I knew you couldn't defend, trash." Yang Tan scolded Ma Gangmen with a smile as he passed by him. Then he jumped and shot. Ma Gangmen only stood up after a long time of pain. However, it was too late to stop Yang Tan now. None of the players on Xiao Chen's side dared to stop Yang Tan. Otherwise, Ma Gangmen would be the next example. Although the referee saw this scene, he could not determine whether Yang Tan had secretly done something. However, as long as no one saw it, even if he had done something, it was because he was smart. Even in an international competition, dirty tricks were still prohibited. There was nothing that could be done about it. However, if you could do it without anyone knowing, it would be a sign of your capability. If Yang Tan could do the same in the competition against number 1 high school, it would not be difficult for number 2 high school to win. Therefore, the referee was a bit selfish. He did not question Yang Tan. Moreover, he roughly identified a few people who would go to the competition. They were Xiao Chen, Yang Tan and Xia Shibin. The basketball was about to enter the basket. However, for some unknown reason, it knocked against the basket and bounced out. Xiao Chen, who had rushed there, caught it. Damn. Yang Tan could not believe it. "I missed it again? How is this possible?" He was not only a martial artist, but he also used to play basketball when he was young. How could it be possible that he missed it twice? Could it be that there was something wrong with the basketball and the basket? Were they not the normal size? However, there was no problem with the feel of the ball. There was also no problem with the height of the basket. Yang Tan was very depressed and unhappy. However, this time he had learned his lesson. He did not stare blankly. Instead, he saw Xiao Chen snatch the ball and directly ran over to chase after him. Although Yang Tan's movements were smooth and looked very cool, the audience outside the court could not help but be a little disappointed with him since he did not score twice. Ha 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 ha. Jean Bebe even laughed. Stinky hand. Even the referee was very regretful. Yang Tan's movements were very standard and he had a lot of tricks, but he did not score. Xiao Chen's speed was very fast. In Yang Tan's opinion, it was really not easy for a person without inner force to have such a physique and quality. However, for a martial artist without inner force, no matter how good his physique was, he was just an ordinary person. It was not worth mentioning. Xiao Chen was lucky and had a good shot. Yang Tan decided to secretly use a trick to make Xiao Chen lie on the ground directly. It would be better if he could not play. Therefore, when he passed by Xiao Chen, he seemed to be chasing after him. However, he secretly stretched out his left hand and touched Xiao Chen's acupuncture point. Xiao Chen casually turned sideways and directly dodged it. Not bad, trash. You have good skills. It seems that you have practiced a lot in order to cultivate inner force all these years. However, trash is trash. It is useless in front of us martial artists. Yang Tan could not help but make sarcastic remarks when his attack did not succeed. Who is trash? We will know in a while. Xiao Chen sneered and said, I advise you not to play tricks. Otherwise if I do I can kill you. Damn sure. Then why don't you do it for me to see? Yang Tan sneered disapprovingly. Slap. Xiao Chen slapped Yang Tan's face, causing him to be dumbfounded. You hit me? Yang Tan did not expect that Xiao Chen's so-called trick was to slap him. Wasn't this a foul? Although he was angry, he was also waiting for the referee to blow the whistle. However, after waiting and waiting, nothing happened. Xiao Chen had already run to the three-point line and directly shot. Grr. Yang Tan was dumbfounded. What was going on? He directly shouted to stop. The referee looked at Yang Tan with some confusion. Student Yang Tan, what's the matter? Xiao Chen slapped me. It's a foul. Yang Tan was a little flustered and exasperated. Did the referee slip away just now and didn't see it or something? From what he said, it seemed like he didn't know about this. Chapter 413. What? The referee was stunned and looked at Yang Tan strangely. When did Xiao Chen hit you? Teacher, you might not have noticed it just now, but the students below the stage and my teammates can prove it. Yang Tan pointed to his red face and said, and my face can prove it too. Xiao Chen hit someone and it's a foul. Student Xiao Chen, did you hit him? The referee was a little baffled. He didn't see Xiao Chen hit someone, but half of Yang Tan's face was already swollen. It wasn't like this before. Did he really get hit? No. Xiao Chen was also baffled. When did I hit him? You? Teacher, everyone can testify. Yang Tan was furious. Who can testify? Ask them who saw it? Xiao Chen had a look of indignation on his face as he said, I say Yang Tan, can you not be so shameless? You saw that I scored and didn't want the score to take effect, so you deliberately hit yourself and made your face swollen. You want to frame me for a foul and hit you? How can you be like this? You mother****cur? Yang Tan was so angry that he wanted to curse. However, he saw that the students outside and in the stadium were all looking at Yang Tan inexplicably. Obviously, they didn't see the scene of Xiao Chen hitting someone. No one could testify for him. Xia Shibin, did you see it? Yang Tan was so angry that his face was red and his eyes were about to spit fire. I saw it. Although Xia Shibin didn't see it, he could only bite the bullet and say that he saw it. Teacher, Xia Shibin and Yang Tan are in cahoots. I suspect that he is perjury. Jean Bebe raised her hand and said, moreover, he was so far away just now. How could he see it? Did anyone else see it? The referee nodded and asked the others. No one answered, but they all shook their heads to show that they didn't see it. Yang Tan was about to explode. Is there such a thing? He was hit, but he said that he didn't see it? How could this be possible? However, Yang Tan also knew that it couldn't be done. Now only Xia Shibin could prove it. So many others said that they didn't see it. It was useless even if Xia Shibin said it to the heavens. Xia Shibin. Yang Tan yelled angrily. Brother Yang, what's wrong? Xia Shibin responded quickly. Don't do anything later. Take your phone and record it for me. Let's see if Xiao Chen still dares to hit people. Yang Tan ordered angrily. Brother Yang, but I didn't bring my phone. Xia Shibin patted his pocket and said, where's your phone? Yang Tan glared at him and thought to himself, are you an idiot? Even if you didn't bring it, you should have said that you did. You could have scared Xiao Chen so that he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Aren't we playing basketball? I thought it would be uncomfortable to put it in my pocket, so I put it in the classroom. Xia Shibin said. Damn it. Yang Tan snorted, then you better watch him. Don't do anything but keep an eye on Xiao Chen. Don't let him get the ball. Alright. Xia Shibin quickly nodded. The game continued. Yang Tan continued to play gloomily. Xiao Chen grinned at him. However, Xiao Chen was probably the only one who used the power of a cultivator in daily life. He used the power of a cultivator to cook, he used it in basketball, and he even used the illusion. Therefore, other than Yang Tan, the person involved, no one else saw Xiao Chen hit people. This time the basketball was directly grabbed by Xiao Chen. Xia Shibin and Yang Tan were like two mountains blocking in front of Xiao Chen. They wouldn't let him pass no matter what. However, Xiao Chen didn't care and directly rushed towards the two of them, dribbling the ball to hit people. Yang Tan and Xia Shibin looked at each other and were overjoyed. The two of them didn't dodge. In order to make it look real, they were directly hit by Xiao Chen and fell to the ground at the same time. They fell to the ground and squatted down in pain. Meanwhile, Xiao Chen directly shot the ball. It was different from the previous three-point line shot. This time the distance was further. Everyone thought it was impossible to score, but under everyone's shocked gazes, the basketball went into the basket and scored. Then there was an uproar outside the court. Not only were there cheers but there was also a lot of laughter. Yang Tan and Xia Shibin were overjoyed. They thought to themselves, someone finally saw through it. So what if you made the shot? Even if you are awesome and skilled, you still dribbled the ball and hit someone. However, what they didn't know was that the scene that the spectators saw was that after Xiaochen was stopped by the two of them, he directly stopped and shot the ball, while the two of them fell backwards. Although the fall was very natural, there was no doubt that it was a fake because Xiaochen didn't touch them at all. The game didn't stop but continued. This made Yang Tan and Xia Shibin, who were sitting on the ground, a little stunned. Originally, they were waiting for the referee to pronounce the verdict, but after waiting for a while, the game continued. They looked up at the scoreboard and saw that Xiao Chen's shot was effective, causing Yang Tan to suddenly explode. Stop. Just now, Xiao Chen dribbled the ball and hit someone. Why didn't he get a foul? Yang Tan yelled. The referee was amused by Yang Tan this time. I say, Yang Tan, you and Xia Shibin pretended to fall. Xiao Chen had already shot the ball. Why did he still hit you? Impossible. He clearly hit us before shooting the ball. Yang Tan was about to explode. How could this referee invert the truth? He angrily looked at the others in the court. Everyone should have seen it this time, right? Brother Yang, I saw it. I can testify. Xia Shibin saw the awkward silence again, so he stood up and said. However, when Xia Shibin stood up, it caused everyone on the court to laugh. He faked with Yang Tan. How could he testify? Testimonies had no value at all. Yang Tan, Xia Shibin, if you don't want to play, go down. Don't frame your classmates. We saw it very clearly. No one hit you. The referee said with a frown. But Yang Tan felt that it was a little unbelievable. How is it possible? Could it be that I was hallucinating? But if I was hallucinating, Xia Shibin couldn't be hallucinating too, right? What he didn't know was that besides him and Xia Shibin, everyone else in the audience was hallucinating. It couldn't be helped. The game could only continue. No matter how angry Yang Tan was, he could only continue to play gloomily. However, he was also careful now. He tried his best to lead Xiao Chen to the public's attention. He also exaggerated some eye-catching movements to attract everyone's attention. Xiao Chen's team finally knew how powerful Xiao Chen was. They didn't try to be a hero. If they had the ball, they would pass it to Xiao Chen. Although Yang Tan and Xia Shibin's defense was tight, Xiao Chen often shot once he passed half court. It was impossible for them to defend. Finally, the ball fell into Xia Shibin's hands. Xia Shibin finally had a chance to show off. He had been holding it in for too long. However, he also knew that it was impossible to recover the score. The gap was too big. He could only show off his personal charm to win back some face. This time he was ready to show off his unique skill, a three-point line slam dunk. Jump from the three-point line slam dunk. This required a lot of skills and jumping ability. The body must also be coordinated. In short, there were a lot of requirements. However, for a martial artist like Yang Tan, it wasn't too difficult. Xiao Chen could shoot from half court. It wasn't difficult for him to do a three-point line slam dunk. However, something that Yang Tan didn't expect happened. He held the ball in one hand and was preparing to shoot. The ball in his hand was unstable and it actually rolled out of his hand. Although this kind of mistake had happened in regular games, it was very rare. Now it happened to Yang Tan. He was still working but the ball fell from his hand. Xiao Chen, who was guarding below, picked it up and turned to run. *CK. Yang Tan's hand touched the basket and completed the slam dunk. However, he didn't feel any sense of accomplishment at all. How could the ball in his hand leave his hand? There was no wind here, but he felt as if there was an external force pushing the ball out. When he came down, Yang Tan turned his head. Xiao Chen was already gone. Xia Shibin couldn't stop him at all. He went around and made a three-point shot. He scored again. Xiao Chen's side had always been 3 points. Not even 2 points. The score gap was obvious. In the blink of an eye, it was 39-0. There was no possibility of a comeback. Yang Tan was disheartened, but his eyes turned. He didn't snatch the ball anymore. He just wanted to vent his anger and planned to cause trouble for Xiao Chen. He gave Xia Shibin a look and then made a hand gesture to slap him. What he meant was for Xia Shibin to slap Xiao Chen to death. At most, he would be penalized for a foul. Anyway, his side couldn't win. Even if it was a foul, it didn't matter. Xia Shibin nodded to show that he understood. Therefore, Xia Shibin waited for the opportunity to make a move. Yang Tan was covering by the side. It was best if he could block the referee's sight. It didn't matter if he couldn't block it. Anyway, he couldn't win. Now he just didn't want to let Xiaochen have it easy. Two people, one on the left and one on the right, attacked Xiaochen. Previously, Yang Tan had hinted to Xiaochen, so when he saw the two rushing over, he knew that Xia Shibin was going to slap him. He couldn't help but sneer, pretend that he didn't know, and continue to prepare for the shot. Suddenly, Yang Tan stretched out his hands to block the referee's sight. Xia Shibin immediately understood. He raised his hand and slapped Xiaochen's cheek. Pa! There was a crisp sound. Xia Shibin's strength wasn't weak. Although he didn't use his inner force, it was also the limit of his strength. If this slap continued, Xiaochen would definitely become a pig's head. However, what surprised Xia Shibin was that he didn't hear Xiaochen scream as he expected. Instead, it was Yang Tan who screamed. Xia Shibin suddenly woke up and saw that his palm was directly printed on Yang Tan's face. The half of Yang Tan's face that wasn't injured was swollen from Xia Shibin's slap. On the other side, Xiaochen smoothly shot and scored. The crowd cheered, mixed with mocking laughter. Chapter 4:14. Xia Shibin, what the F***ck? Yang Tan was enraged. He widened his eyes and stared at Xia Shibin furiously. Are you out of your mind? Why did you hit me? Brother Yang, I didn't do it on purpose. I originally wanted to hit Xiaochen. Who knew that it would suddenly become you? I misjudged you. Xia Shibin looked like he was about to cry. He was also a little depressed as he carefully explained. Ha 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 ha. The audience burst into laughter. Oh, I know. Xia Shibin was the one who hit me just now. He falsely accused brother-in-law Xiaochen. Now he wants to falsely accuse me again. In the end, he didn't hit me clearly and everyone saw through him. Jin Beibei yelled. Suddenly, there was a burst of laughter in the field and among the audience. These two brats are so sneaky. They definitely hit themselves just now. But they are so ruthless. They actually hurt themselves in exchange for the opponent's foul. A student said. Didn't they fake it just now? It's mainly because they are too lousy. Lu Zhiming said. Yang Tan and Xia Shibin's expressions were extremely ugly. Yang Tan glared at Xia Shibin fiercely. He was too ashamed to stay in the field anymore. He shouted, Referee, substitute me. I'm injured. I need to rest. After saying that, Yang Tan turned around and left the field, regardless of whether the referee agreed or not. Actually, at this point in the game, although the time was not over yet, everyone knew that the outcome had been decided. There was no point in continuing the game. However, the referee was also a little embarrassed. The exciting game was about to end abruptly. At this time, there was a sudden commotion at the entrance of the stadium. A girl in disheveled clothes ran in a panic and exclaimed, There's a pervert. There's a pervert. Pervert? Everyone was stunned. Where was the pervert? However, they saw that the girl's pants were not fastened properly. The belt that was supposed to be fastened was not even fastened properly. She looked a little embarrassed. Where is the pervert? What's going on? A PE teacher quickly walked over and asked. In the toilet. In the outdoor toilet. The girl said while panting. She was obviously still in shock and frightened. Outdoor toilet? The PE teacher was stunned. The outdoor toilet was built on the field next to the stadium. It was an old-fashioned and relatively simple toilet. Usually it was rarely used except during sports events. Today the girl was probably here to watch the basketball game. She did not want to go back to the teaching building to use the toilet, so she went to the outdoor toilet. However, when she unbuttoned her pants and squatted, she accidentally glanced at the bottom of the toilet and saw a man with his eyes and mouth wide open, drinking her urine. The girl was immediately scared silly. She screamed, pulled up her pants and ran. She didn't care whether she had finished peeing or not. She ran back to the school's gymnasium to complain. Attention boys, follow us to the toilet to catch the pervert. When the PE teacher heard that there were all perverts in the toilet, he immediately said to the male students present, However, when the time comes, don't do anything. Just surround them. We, the PE teachers, will go and catch them. Firstly, the students didn't know how to fight. It wouldn't be good if they were injured by the bad guys. Secondly, the students didn't know how to hold back. What if a group of people surrounded the pervert and beat him to death? The PE teacher waved his hand and ordered everyone. In addition, the referee also heard the situation, so he said to Xiaochen and the others, This match, the player on the right side wins. Alright, everyone go and block the pervert. The three PE teachers took a group of students to the school's outdoor toilet. As a result, they saw a man running out of the outdoor toilet, jumping over the wall and running out of the school. Xiaochen looked at the back of the man and was slightly shocked. He looks familiar. This seems to be the pervert that I saw in the toilet of Shantytown when I sent Kerlin home that day. At least judging from the figure behind, the two people were similar. Should be the same person. However, Xiaoqun didn't try to chase after him. After all, he didn't want to expose himself in the school. He was not White Fox now, so he didn't need to care about other people's business. The three PE teachers quickly caught up to the wall and climbed up, but they couldn't see the man anymore. They felt a little regretful and returned to the students saying, "We will call the police immediately. Here, I hope you can inform each other to stay away from the outdoor toilet for now. After all, there are not many people here and it's not safe. Our sports group will work with the school security team to send people to patrol around the toilet. Later we will make a school-wide announcement." The PE teacher who spoke was the leader of the sports group and also the initiator of this basketball activity. The students all nodded. As for the girl, she was taken to the school clinic by her good friend to rest because she was shocked. "Cousin Menjing, let's go and catch the pervert, shall we?" Jean Bebe thought it was fun, so she suggested. "What? Be careful not to be caught by the pervert. Perverts love girls with big breasts like you the most." Cheng Menjing glared at her and thought, Jean Bebe has nothing better to do. Why does she want to catch a pervert? "Cousin-in-law, what do you think?" Jean Bebe asked. "Hee, aren't the teachers responsible for catching the pervert? Let's stay out of it." Xiaoqun was wondering if the two perverts were the same one. It seemed to be the same one. However, this guy was really a pervert. The girl had already told him what had happened. What puzzled Xiaoqun was that the pervert not only peeped at her, but also went to the toilet to drink urine. His taste was really strange. The basketball game ended abruptly because of the pervert. Yang Tan and Xia Shibin left in disgrace. They didn't come to see the pervert at all and went back to the classroom first. Since there was nothing else to do here, the PE teacher stayed to patrol the area while the students left for the classroom. Sun Abayo glanced at the top of the wall in the school and found no one was looking for him. Then he dashed out from the corner. He was wearing a black raincoat, which was stained with feces and urine. Sun Abayo licked his lips with a satisfied expression on his face. He dashed away quickly and got into a shabby minivan. Sun Abayo sat cross-legged with a lustful look in his eyes. Sun Abayo was a pervert. When he was young, he had a fight with his friends and was pushed into the toilet's feces pit. It was winter at that time. The feces were frozen into ice, so Sun Abayo didn't drown. However, as a child he couldn't get out of the pit no matter how hard he tried. Later his friends all went home. No one cared about Sun Abayo anymore. He was alone in the toilet, frightened and scared. No one answered his call. He had no choice but to walk back and forth under the toilet. Accidentally, he walked to the female toilet next to it. Looking up from the rectangular hole, a little girl with a ponytail happened to come to the toilet. She took off her pants and a stream of urine fell from the sky, drenching Sun Abayo's face. At first, Sun Abayo was anxious and scared. He quickly raised his head and wanted to call for help, but the warm urine poured directly into his mouth, choking him and making him unable to speak. For the first time, his eyes saw a girl who had a completely different physiological structure from him. After the little girl went to the toilet, she left. Sun Abayo finally climbed up the feces pit with the help of his grandfather, who was looking for him in the evening. When he got home, Sun Abayo wasn't afraid and he didn't have nightmares at night. Instead, his mind kept circling around the scene of peeing in the toilet. The faint smell of urine made Sun Abayo's heart beat fast. He didn't feel disgusted, but he was a little excited. He even missed the feeling from before. After a few days, Sun Abayo took a small stool and jumped into the feces pit. He began his life of peeping and drinking urine. All kinds of women made him excited. Day after day, year after year, Sun Abayo grew up in the heart of a pervert. On the surface he looked like an introverted loser, but in his heart he was actually an incomparably perverted pervert. Finally, one day he met an old man in the toilet who had the same hobby as him. This old man didn't say his name, he only said that he was called Shishan Old Pervert. Thus, the two of them, one old and one young, agreed to go to the toilet together every day to peep and drink urine. Previously, Sun Abayo was younger and didn't know what perverted was. He only knew that doing this would bring him excitement. So he called Shishan Old Pervert as Shishan Old Man. The pronunciation was similar, and he had been mispronouncing it. Later on, when he grew up, he gradually understood that the old pervert was called Shishan Old Pervert. And suddenly, one day, Shishan Old Pervert told him that he had something to do and had to leave the city. Before he left, he gave him a mental cultivation method that could be cultivated, called Evil Spirit Perverted Heaven Technique. Sun Abayo officially became an evil cultivator, and he discovered that women's urine, especially the urine of young girls and virgin girls, could assist his cultivation. Thinking about it, it was no wonder that when he was in the toilet with Shishan old pervert, whenever there were young girls, that old thing would always go first. Sun Abayo's grandfather died and so did his grandmother. He didn't have parents since he was young, so he became an orphan. His only joy every day was peeping. But with the development of time, these simple outdoor toilets without flushing facilities became fewer and fewer. Only some of the shanty towns and old city areas that had not been renovated existed, and the rest were only found in schools. Sun Abayo also found it harder and harder to find this kind of toilet. Even in the villages there were toilets in their own yards. There were no outdoor toilets at all. This made Sun Abayo's cultivation even more difficult. Because of the reduction of toilets, he couldn't just commit crimes in one place. He had to change his location frequently. Chapter 4:15. Because there were relatively few toilets, once he squatted in one place for a long time, he would eventually be discovered. He had to change places. A few days ago he had just fled to Songning City. As a result, he finally found a shanty town. He was waiting for an opportunity to peep and drink urine. He didn't expect his first prey to be a little beauty. Looking at Kerlin in white, Sun Abayo was so excited that he was trembling. According to his many years of observation experience, this girl was still a virgin. The urine of a virgin was a great supplement for his cultivation. However, this little beauty was too cunning. Just as she was about to take off her pants, she saw Sun Abayo under the latrine pit. She shouted in alarm. Then her boyfriend broke in, and Sun Abayo had to choose to escape. He was very upset. The first time he chose a good place he failed. In desperation he didn't dare to come again. He was afraid that the little beauty would report him. He was also afraid that the little beauty would tell the neighbors to squat in the toilet to catch him. After Sun Abayo left, he didn't go back. Instead, he found the nearby Songning Second High School and found an outdoor toilet here. Although there were relatively few people in the outdoor toilet, it was at least a foothold. Sun Abayo first found an escape route and stationed himself in the toilet. For the whole day nothing happened. Not a single girl came to the toilet. However, in the evening, a boy and a girl came to the toilet to have an affair. He thought that after the couple was done they could pee or something. He didn't expect that the girl would just pee on the ground. This made him so angry that he wanted to go up and beat the B*TCH up. Who asked you to waste? Who asked you to waste? However, he didn't dare to do so. He still wanted to continue to stay here. The next day the opportunity finally came. However, when Sun Abayo was enjoying himself halfway, he was discovered by the girl. Sun Abayo wanted to vomit blood. Why am I so unlucky? Last time I didn't succeed, so I had to change places. This time I only succeeded halfway, but I had to escape again. Originally he was hoping to get lucky and see if the girl went to snitch. As a result, he heard a group of male and female students shouting not far away, and the shouting of the PE teacher. He was so scared that he ran away quickly. Sun Abayo refined the urine in his mouth. He recalled the scene he had seen at that time over and over again. The strength in his body was increasing step by step. He was very grateful to the West Mountain Old Lecher for turning him into an evil cultivator and allowing him to possess extraordinary skills. After cultivating, Sun Abayo took off his raincoat and got into the driver's seat. He started the car and headed to a construction site. He found a construction site and worked there as a temporary worker. Because he was a heretic cultivator and had extraordinary strength, the foreman at the construction site admired him. This was also Sun Abayo's livelihood. Every time he went to a city he would find a construction site to work. He was an all-rounder. Not only did he know how to carry bricks, but he also dared to work high up in the sky. He dared to go high up in the sky where others did not dare to go. Old cranes and excavators were a piece of cake. In this world there were many evil cultivators. They were all hidden in the crowd. They looked like ordinary people on the outside, but they were secretly doing some evil things. However, it was precisely because of this group of people that the reputation of evil cultivators was ruined. They were similar to evil cultivators, but they were not evil cultivators. They were looked down upon by the martial cultivators of the righteous sections. However, martial cultivators were not as powerful as them. To get rid of them, one still had to rely on evil cultivators. However, because Sun Abayo had always been careful, he did not dare to hurt people even though he had strength. Therefore, he had never been listed as a wanted criminal by the warrior guild. When Xiaochen returned to class, he saw that Yang Tan was not sitting in his seat for the first time. Instead, he was sitting in his own seat with his head lowered. His face was filled with defeat. Xiaoqun walked over and said, "Yang Tan, it's time for you to fulfill your bet, right?" Yang Tan's expression changed again and again. In the end he said, "I've already told Xiao Ens to leave, but he won't listen to me. I can't do anything about it. After all, we are not in the same organization." Hee hee. Xiaoqun laughed. "I knew you would say that. One look and I can tell that you are not a man who can keep his word. If that's the case, don't bet in the future. Your words are like farts." You. Yang Tan wanted to refute, but he could not find any reason to. He could only snort coldly and said, "Xiaoqun, you better think about the consequences of going against me. Don't think that I can't do anything about you now that you have left the Xiao family. At the end of the day, you are still a member of the Xiao family. When the time comes, the Xiao family, do as you see fit." "Whatever. The Xiao family has nothing to do with me. I was kicked out. If they cared about me, I would have returned a long time ago," Xiaoqun said faintly. "You." Yang Tan found that his threat seemed to have failed. After thinking about it, it seemed that it was indeed the case. Xiaoqun was kicked out of the Xiao family and he did not leave by himself. It was impossible to say that he did not hate the Xiao family. If he dealt with the Xiao family, wouldn't it be equivalent to helping Xiaoqun? "Alright, Yang Tan, everyone knows what's going on with you. Don't think too highly of yourself." Xiaoqun said, "If you have the ability, let Song Huawu sit with you. If you don't have the ability, then don't talk nonsense with me. Don't participate in the basketball game. Your skills are too bad and your diving is too obvious. Letting you play is a disgrace. Xiaoqun, just you wait. One day I will make you regret it." Yang Tan clenched his hands and stared fiercely at Xiaoqun. Of course he was only threatening him verbally. So far he had not found a good way to deal with Xiaoqun. This guy was impenetrable. He could not threaten him or beat him. He was completely a troublemaker. There was no other way. Xiaoqun ignored him and directly ignored him. This made Yang Tan even angrier. He turned his hand back and slapped Xia Shibin's face. "Damn you idiot. Brother Yang, you can't blame me. You were so close to me just now. I accidentally hit the wrong person. Besides, didn't you hit yourself before?" Xia Shibin said weakly. "T, when did I hit myself?" Yang Tan said angrily. "Brother Yang, didn't you hit the other side of your face?" Xia Shibin hesitated and said, "Damn, I already said that it was Xiaoqun who hit me." Yang Tan was stunned and shouted angrily, "Oh, it was Xiaoqun." Xia Shibin quickly echoed. When Yang Tan saw Xia Shibin's look, he knew that Xia Shibin didn't believe him. He was very depressed. This Xiaoqun's luck is really good. He hit me and so many people didn't see it. It seems that this kid's basketball skills are not simple. At first glance, I can see that he is a veteran on the court. His small movements are also very skillful. He must have found a visual blind spot so he was able to deceive everyone. Must be like this. Otherwise, Yang Tan really couldn't find any reason to let Xiaoqun succeed in front of everyone. It can't be that Xiaoqun is so powerful that even the physical education teacher spoke for him, right? This is completely unrealistic. When he saw that no one passed the ball to Xiaoqun, he knew that Xiaoqun's deterrence in the school wasn't big, so it couldn't be that everyone cheated for him. There was only one possibility, which was that Xiaoqun was particularly good at small movements. "Xia Shibin, you continue to investigate Xiaoqun for me. See if he has any weaknesses. I must take this person down. I heard that his relationship with the Chen family isn't good. If I can't take care of him, I will lose face." Yang Tan said fiercely. "Don't worry, brother Yang. I have already investigated this kid. Everyone has a weakness. I'm very good at this. This kid can't escape from my palm." Xia Shibin said. "And?" Yang Tan nodded with satisfaction and said, "Be careful. Don't let him hold anything against you. These people in the secular world are particularly cunning. Brother Yang, this time it definitely won't happen. I was too careless last time. I thought that he didn't dare to challenge our Supernatural Investigation Bureau," Xia Shibin said quickly. "Last time he was recorded by Lu Jinming. It was a great shame." Xiaoqun returned to his seat and Song Huawu also came back. When she saw Xiaoqun, she said, "I didn't see it. Xiaoqun, you are quite good at football. Even I didn't see what was going on with that small movement. Is it the method of you demonic cultivators to confuse the mind? But why were the people present deceived by you? Isn't it only the person involved who can be tricked?" "Yeah, I confused Xia Shibin to beat Yang Tan, so you saw it too," Xiaoqun said with a smile. "Before that, Yang Tan was beaten?" Song Huawu was a little curious. He was also confused. He thought that he was beating me, but in fact he was secretly beating himself, said Xiaoqin. Oh. Song Huawu didn't pay attention to Yang Tan before, so she believed what Xiaoqin said. You have offended him again. He doesn't doubt you now, but if this goes on, he is not a fool. He will definitely doubt your strength. When your identity is exposed, I believe that with Yang Tan's character, he will never let you go. You're on your own. Don't try to be a hero again and put yourself in danger. I know what I'm doing. Xiaoqin said, today I haven't shown any strength that is higher than normal people. Yang Tan is also prejudiced. He shouldn't doubt me. Anyway, you have to be careful. Also, Xia Shibin is best at secret investigations. When you use your own identity to switch with White Fox's identity, you'd better be careful. Song Huawu reminded, he has already noticed you now. I'm afraid that he will discover your secret. Xiaoqin's heart trembled slightly. He suddenly remembered that night when he came out of Kerlin's house and was photographed. Could it be that Xia Shibin did it? But at that time I didn't offend Xia Shibin and Yang Tan too much. Since then, has he begun to secretly investigate me? Chapter 416. Fortunately, he did it secretly. After leaving the hotel, he returned to his original appearance and did not show up as Yang Tan. Otherwise, if Xia Shibin saw it, he would be in big trouble. Why are there so many scum in your department? Xiaoqin was a little annoyed after hearing that. Yang Tan was so annoying that he had seriously interfered with his normal life. Not that many. It's just him. Song Huawu said, look, I'm quite normal. That's true. Xiaoqin nodded. He was driven out of the Qin family when he was young and abandoned by Qin Huanling. His mind is a little twisted. He is not a normal person, so you don't have to look at him normally, Song Huawu said. Oh. Xiaoqin nodded and did not say anything more. Now there were more and more strange enemies. Sometimes he would be hated by these people just because of a strange reason. Xiaoqin was really helpless. He thought that he could investigate the mastermind behind the scenes at No. 2 Middle School with peace of mind. But now the mastermind behind the scenes did not show up. Instead, more and more clowns appeared. Of course, in the eyes of Xiaoqin, these clowns were existences that he could only look up to in the past. But now it was not a big deal. When school was about to end, Xiaoqin went to the school parking lot first and waited for Cheng Minjing and Jean Beibei. Soon they came out and got in Xiaoqin's car. Cousin-in-law, your basketball performance today was very cool. Cousin Minjing's eyes were full of stars, Jean Beibei said after getting in the car. Really? Xiaoqin smiled. Naturally, he would not believe Jean Beibei's words. What stars? He has always been good at basketball, even when he was in No. 1 middle school. I don't want to see him. Cheng Minjing snorted. Oh? How do you know if she doesn't see him? Jean Beibei looked at Cheng Minjing with some doubts. I heard it from Jingxian. Cheng Minjing said. Oh? Sister Jingxian had been paying attention to my cousin-in-law since then? Jean Beibei was slightly stunned. Xiaoqin glanced at Jean Beibei and said nothing. He speculated that Jean Beibei seemed to know something, but the eldest lady was still in the dark. However, there were some things that he could not say out loud. Therefore he could only snort. Other girls pay a lot of attention to me, my fiancé. Your cousin-in-law is the prince of basketball in No. 1 middle school after all? Your skin is so thick that it can be taken off, right? Cheng Minjing glared at Xiaoqin, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Xiaoqin said, was it possible to take it off? But he didn't say anything. They arrived at the Qing family. Xiaoqin didn't expect that he could come to the Qing family again in such a short time. This time, nobody stopped him. After parking the car, he got off the car with Cheng Minjing and Jean Beibei. However, at this moment, the notification of his mobile phone rang. He picked it up and deliberately lagged behind. After glancing at the screen of the mobile phone, he was slightly shocked. Right at this moment, a Mercedes-Benz SLR sports car rushed over and stopped right in front of Xiaoqin's Land Rover. After parking the car, the man directly turned off the engine without moving. It was obvious that he wanted to trap Xiaoqin's car inside. The man who got off the car was Qiaoen's. He looked at Xiaoqin provocatively, raised his middle finger and scolded, "Idiot! You want me to leave Songning? Who do you think you are?" Obviously, Qiaoen's had contacted Yang Tan and promised him to humiliate Xiaoqin at the family gathering in the evening. Move the car. Xiaoqin glanced at Qiaoen's and said lightly. Qiaoen's glanced at Xiaoqin, turned around and walked to Cheng Minjing. Minjing, you're back. I wanted to visit Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng tonight. I didn't expect you to come back. That's great. Qing Minjing frowned slightly. She didn't invite Xiao En's. This man came uninvited. It was impossible for him not to know that she would come home at night. She just didn't know where he got the news. It turns out to be Senior Qiao. Qing Minjing didn't hate Xiao En so much. However, when she saw him block Xiao Chen's car in the parking space, she suddenly felt that he was narrow-minded. Xiao En's, if you don't move the car, you'll be responsible for the consequences. Xiao Chen said, I'm going to pick up someone. If you have a move, you'll die if you don't. Xiao En said disdainfully. He did not believe that Xiao Chen could do anything to his car. Xiao Chen was not a martial artist. Even if it was a sports car, he would not be able to move it. He did it on purpose. Moreover, he did not intend to leave so easily. Even if it was at night, he planned to disturb the Qing family and suffocate him to death. Xiao En's, my cousin-in-law is a transformer. You better move the car. Otherwise the consequences might be serious. Jean Bebe looked at Xiao En's and said, Is it serious? Whatever, Jing En said indifferently. Xiao Chen got in the car and started it. The chassis of the Land Rover was high. After Xiao Chen started the car, he slammed on the accelerator and used the Imperial Object Primordial Energy to lift the front wheel of the car. As a result, Xiao Chen's car directly drove over Jing En's sports car. In an instant, Xiao En's Mercedes-Benz SLR was deformed by Xiao Chen's car. Xiao En's was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? He had thought about it before. Xiao Chen's car was also a luxury car. Even if it wasn't as valuable as his car, this model of Land Rover would cost more than 3 million. Most importantly, in his opinion, Xiao Chen was a good-for-nothing young master who had been driven out by the Xiao family. It was impossible for him to afford this car. Therefore, the car must belong to Qing Minjing. Therefore, Xiao Chen definitely didn't dare to crash his car. In that case, he would also suffer losses. Moreover, if the car was damaged, how could Qing Minjing agree to it? However, who would have thought that Xiao Chen was so fierce? However, nothing happened to his car. He rode over directly and his car was deformed by the weight. Look, if you don't listen to Bebe, you'll suffer. Jean Bebe said to Xiao En's. *CK. Xiao En's was furious. He directly stood in front of Xiao Chen's car. As a result, Xiao Chen stepped on the accelerator. With a bang, Xiao En's tumbled and then swaggered away. This Xiao En's was a martial artist at the peak of the 8th stage of inner strength. He couldn't be killed by the collision at all. However, Xiao En's was a little embarrassed. He got up from the ground and glared at Xiao Chen with some resentment in his eyes. He snorted and said, Minjing, you were right to break off the engagement with this rude barbarian. This person is completely unreasonable. Your way of doing things is also inappropriate. Qing Minjing glanced at Xiao En's and said, No matter what, Xiao Chen is my servant. Why did you block his car in front of him? Are you trying to show off to me? This, of course not. With Xiao En's current identity and status, there was no need for him to bow and scrape to Qing Minjing. However, first love was always unforgettable. He didn't want to get Qing Minjing by that kind of high-handed means. He hoped that Qing Minjing could fall in love with him naturally. Otherwise, with his current identity and status, which woman from ordinary aristocratic families couldn't he handle? However, this wasn't the feeling he wanted. In that case, let's forget about this matter. I don't want you to play these little tricks in the future, Qing Minjing said. Okay, I got it. Xiao En's originally wanted to find a chance to teach Xiao Chen a lesson. However, Qing Minjing's words were already very obvious. One should look at the master before beating a dog. If he attacked Xiao Chen, it would be a provocation to Qing Minjing. So, Xiao En's could only give up. He was pinned down by the car and knocked down for nothing. Then let's go in together, Qing Minjing said. Okay. Xiao En's nodded quickly. However, Qing Minjing was a little puzzled. Where did Xiao Chen go? Why did he suddenly drive away? Was it because he was impulsive? When he saw that the car was blocked by Xiao En's, he ran over to vent his anger. Then where did he go now? It seems that he drove out of the direction of the Qing family. However, Xiao En's was on the side, so it wasn't appropriate for her to ask. She could only walk into the Qing family's gate first. Xiao Chen drove out of the Qing family and quickly dialed Yu Xiaochuan's phone number. The message just now was sent by Yu Xiaochuan. There was only one sentence. Zhuing Xiong is in trouble. Requesting White Fox's help. The content of this message was a little vague. Logically, White Fox shouldn't know Zhuing Xiong. At least, he didn't have any contact with him on the surface. However, why would Yu Xiaochuan tell me that he was in trouble? Although he sent the message with the tone of asking for help, there was no need to specifically indicate that Zhu Xiong was in trouble. As long as he said that his brother-in-law was in trouble, wouldn't it be more intuitive? It was easier for White Fox to understand than him saying that Zhu Xiong was in trouble. After all, White Fox might not know Zhu Xiong. Since his good buddy was in trouble, Xiaochen was naturally anxious. However, he couldn't use the identity of White Fox to make a call in front of Qiao En's and Cheng Menjing. Therefore, in a hurry, he could only run over Qiao En's car and hit him. Under normal circumstances, Xiaochen wouldn't be so irrational. This was equivalent to becoming enemies with Qiao En's. However, since his buddy was in trouble, he couldn't care so much. "You Xiaochuan, what's the matter?" Xiaochen asked directly after he answered the phone. White Fox hero Zhu Xiong was beaten by someone. He's on the verge of death now. Medicine Master Sun has seen him, but there's nothing he can do. He can only use pills to keep him alive. You're experienced and knowledgeable, can you help? Otherwise my sister will become a widow. Although Yu Xiaochuan's personality had changed, his familial love wouldn't change. He still loved his sister very much and couldn't bear to see her sad. "Where are you?" "I'll go over now," Xiaochen said immediately without hesitation. "I'm still in my new villa. I've already talked to the guards. White Fox hero, you can just drive over directly," Yu Xiaochuan said hurriedly. "All right, wait for me." Xiaochen accelerated the car and sped towards the Yu clan's mansion. Chapter 417. After rushing all the way, Xiaochen's car finally entered the Yu's house and stopped in front of Yu Xiaochuan's new house. Or rather, in front of his and Tang Tang's new house. Xiaochen got out of the car and entered the villa with the appearance of White Fox. Yu Xiaochuan had been waiting at the door of the villa for a long time. When he saw Xiaochen, he immediately greeted him. "White Fox hero, you're here. Come and take a look at Zhu Xiong. He's dying." Xiaochen frowned and made a gesture to lead the way. He couldn't help but speed up his pace. When they came to a guest room in the villa, there were already several people standing there, including Tang Tang, Yu Shanshan, and a middle-aged man. He was Yu Shanshan and Yu Xiaochuan's father. However, when Xiaochen came, Yu Xiaochuan's father greeted him and left. He also knew that he was not familiar with White Fox hero, so standing here was an eyesore. There were only a few people left in the room who could be regarded as his own people. Xiaochen walked over and looked at Zhu Xiong on the bed. Zhu Xiong's body had been cleaned. Although there were no visible injuries on his face, his breath was very weak, which was a sign that he was terminally ill. Xiaochen walked over. Zhu Xiong did not go over because he was holding his breath. At this moment, he opened his eyes with difficulty and glanced at the White Fox in front of him. But his brain was not working at the moment, so he subconsciously called out, "Boss? Boss, you're here?" Xiaochen's face changed slightly, but at this time he would not blame Zhu Xiong. He just coughed lightly and said, "How do you feel?" As he spoke, he began to check the injuries on Zhu Xiong's body. After a check, Xiaochen was immediately shocked. Zhu Xiong's chest was completely flattened. After all, Zhu Xiong was a warrior at the second stage of inner strength. The person who could beat him like this must be a warrior, and his strength was definitely not low. However, who did Zhu Xiong offend? Ouyang Tang, who stole his fiancée last time, had already been beaten into a cripple. He shouldn't have the chance to cause trouble for him, right? However, Xiaochen didn't ask much. He began to use the mantra to heal Zhu Xiong. With the experience of healing Shin Jingmao and the middle-aged woman, the process was very smooth this time. The people in the room did not say a word as they stared unblinkingly at the White Fox and Zhu Xiong. However, what surprised them was that Zhu Xiong's face gradually turned from pale to rosy. His injuries seemed to be improving bit by bit. This scene immediately shocked everyone, including Tang Tang. In fact, although Xiaochen vowed that he was a White Fox, Tang Tang still felt a little incredulous. Now she saw him healing Zhu Xiong with her own eyes. It seemed that Xiaochen's strength had reached a very terrifying level. As for whether the person in front of her was Xiaochen, she believed that Zhu Xiong knew better than her. Otherwise, Zhu Xiong wouldn't directly call him boss. Thinking of this, Tang Tang's heart that was hanging in suspense finally relaxed. Xiaochen was really beyond her expectations. He's fine. He just needs to rest for a while and take some restorative potions. Xiaochen said, "Now, who can tell me what is going on?" White Fox hero. Yu Xiaochuan hesitated. He glanced at Tang Tang and said, "Since things have come to this point, you don't have to wear this mask. Everyone actually knows what is going on. In this room, everyone is on the same side. It's fine. Xiaoqun frowned slightly and looked at Yu Xiaochuan with some surprise. Yu Xiaochuan's words were already very obvious. Does he know that I am Xiaoqun? It seems that I am afraid so. However, Xiaoqun was a little puzzled. He didn't believe that Yu Xiaochuan came to this conclusion just based on Zhu Yingxiong's boss, because it was unrealistic. To the public he was Xiaoqun's boss and Xiaoqun was Zhu Yingxiong's boss. So, there was no problem for Zhu Yingxiong to call him boss directly, not to mention that he called him Big Boss. Therefore Xiaoqun didn't reply directly but said, Yu Xiaochuan, what do you mean by this? What? Do you want to see my true face? Yesterday in this room there was a surveillance video. I saw it all. Yu Xiaochuan told the truth. Xiaoqun took a deep breath and nodded. His tone suddenly became cold. So, you know it all? What do you want? Master White Fox, you misunderstood. I killed the disciple in the monitoring room, and the video hard disk was destroyed. No one knows this secret. Yu Xiaochuan said quickly, I definitely won't harm you. What about your sister? Asked Xiaoqun. He was a little puzzled. Why wouldn't Yu Xiaochuan harm me? I feel that this guy should hate Xiaoqun a lot, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Shanshan is my sister, and she is already Zhu Yingxiong's woman, so you don't have to worry about her, Yu Xiaochuan said. As for Tang Tang and Zhu Yingxiong, they already know, right? Xiaoqun didn't deny it. Since things had come to this, there was no need to hide it anymore. Xiaoqun casually took off his mask and revealed his original face. This gave Yu Shanshan a fright and she was dumbstruck. She didn't expect that the Master White Fox who was sought after and admired by everyone, was actually the trash of the Xiao family, Xiaoqun. This person can't cultivate internal force? But looking at him at the Righteous and Devil Summit, it wasn't that he couldn't cultivate internal force, but he was too good at it. Shanshan, don't go out and talk nonsense. Yu Xiaochuan said, we are all on the same side. You know the stakes. And I understand. Although Yu Shanshan was shocked, she nodded quickly. At least from Zhu Yingxiong's side, she wouldn't go out and talk nonsense. Now that even her brother said so, she wouldn't go out and talk nonsense. Also, Tang Tang is actually your brother White Fox's woman, but there is nothing wrong with you calling her sister-in-law. Your brother White Fox is the boss of Zhu Yingxiong. Yu Xiaochuan said, as for your brother, there is a problem with my cultivation method. I can't touch women. Oh. Yu Shanshan nodded as if she understood. She was a little confused, but it didn't matter if she couldn't figure it out as long as it was kept secret. During the conversation, Zhu Yingxiong actually sat up. Boss, you are so awesome. I feel like I'm fine now. You lie down quickly. Yu Shanshan, you let him lie down and talk. Xiaoqun told Yu Shanshan. Okay, brother White Fox. Yu Shanshan nodded. From the perspective of Zhu Yingxiong, she also had to respect Xiaoqun. Yu Xiaochuan, didn't you hate me before? Xiaoqun looked at Yu Xiaochuan strangely. Hero White Fox, come with me. Yu Xiaochuan said as he reached out to hug Xiaoqun and pulled him to the door. He lowered his voice and said, I am not interested in women now. I can't expose the fact that I am practicing the Chrysanthemum treasure book. Now you and Tang Tang can help me hide it. Moreover, I also admire you very much. Now that you are Xiaoqun, that's even better. Tang Tang doesn't reject it anymore, I am even happier. Xiaoqun felt strange being hugged by Yu Xiaochuan. He nodded and said, so that's how it is. In that case, feel free to speak up if you have anything to say in the future. Since we are all open with each other, there is nothing to hide. Okay, thank you. Yu Xiaochuan nodded quickly. Back in the room, Zhu Yingxiong also slowly talked about what happened tonight. It turned out that today Zhu Yingxiong was invited by the Yu family to have dinner. Yu Xiaochuan's marriage was settled, and the next step was Yu Shanshan's turn. The Zhu family was actually a little anxious. According to the rules of aristocratic families, because the age of marriage was not enough, but the engagement was considered to be an official couple. They wanted Zhu Yingxiong to carry on the family line as soon as possible because the Zhu family did not have many people. Therefore, this matter was put on the agenda. Zhu Yingxiong came as a prospective son-in-law. Everything was fine at first. The kitchen was preparing the meal, and Yu Xiaochuan, Tang Tang, Zhu Yingxiong, Yu Shanshan, and several elders of the Yu family were talking in the reception hall. Finally, a disciple came to report that the Ouyang family of the provincial capital had come to visit. Although there were guests, the Ouyang family of the provincial capital was a real martial arts family. The Yu family could not receive them. Therefore, they could only let the Ouyang family come to the reception hall, and let Yu Xiaochuan and the other juniors go to the side hall to rest first. The person from the Ouyang family was called Ouyang Liang, Ouyang Tang's brother. After entering the door, he did not greet them politely, but directly put forward the request of the Ouyang family. That was, he represented the Ouyang family of the provincial capital to formally propose to the Yu family. The object of the proposal was naturally his younger brother, Ouyang Tang, and Yu Shanshan. The sudden arrival of Ouyang Liang suddenly caught the Yu family off guard. Yu Shanshan's father suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Although the Ouyang family was a real martial arts family of the provincial capital, it was stronger than the Zhu family. There would definitely be a lot of benefits from the marriage, but the problem now was that Yu Shanshan and Zhu Yingxiong had already reached the point where they were talking about marriage. How could they break off the engagement? The Yu family had already done something similar once, but there was a reason for it. It was because Tang Tang had a strange disease that they broke off the engagement. But now there was nothing wrong with Zhu Yingxiong. If they broke off the engagement, not to mention Yu Shanshan, even the Zhu family would not let it go, right? Therefore the Yu family politely refused. But this way Ouyang Liang immediately became angry. He roared and brought up the previous example of Tang Tang, meaning that there were many times when the Yu family went back on their word. There was no other way. Although Ouyang Liang's words were very unpleasant, the Yu family could only patiently explain that Tang Tang had a strange disease, and the Tang family also agreed. But Zhu Yingxiong was fine and got along well with Yu Shanshan. In the end, it was this one sentence that had caused a huge disaster. Ouyang Liang directly sneered and said, "Wasn't Zhu Yingxiong fine? That was very good. In that case, let him be directly in trouble. If he had a problem, they could naturally break off the engagement with the Zhu family." Chapter 418. Without a doubt, this Ouyang Liang was a stage 6 inner strength warrior. To a normal family's disciple, he was a powerful existence. With a wave of his hand, Zhu Yingxiong was severely injured. However, the Yu clan did not dare to force him to stay. After all, he was a member of the real martial arts clan. Although he was a branch family, he was still stronger than the Yu clan, who had broken away from the main family. Moreover, the one who was injured was Zhu Yingxiong, not a member of the Yu clan. In essence, Yu Shanshan and Zhu Yingxiong were not engaged yet, so the Yu clan had no reason to stand up for them. Ouyang Liang seemed to have guessed that this would happen. He laughed coldly and said, "Yu clan, I hope that you will put yourself in the right position. It is Yu Shanshan's fortune that my brother has taken a liking to her. Don't miss the chance to marry into the Ouyang real martial arts clan just because you want to marry into the Zhu family. This time it is just a warning. Next time it will not be so easy. I will give you one night to think about it. I will come again tomorrow morning." After saying that, Ouyang Liang turned around and left, leaving behind the shocked Yu clan. Although the Yu clan had people who could force Ouyang Liang to stay, they did not dare to do so. Wouldn't it be a declaration of war between the Yu clan and the Ouyang clan? How could the Yu clan be a match for them? No matter how one looked at it, the Yu clan would not do such a stupid thing. After listening to what had happened, Xiao Qin did not blame the Yu clan. There was nothing much to say about this. Every clan's elders would consider the clan's benefits, and not their personal gains and losses. Only when a clan was prosperous and undeclining, would everyone in the clan be able to obtain corresponding benefits. Just like when Xiao Qin was chased out of the Xiao family, he had no other choice. There was no other way. He had to sacrifice himself for the greater good. Therefore, although the Yu clan's actions were ruthless, it was understandable. "I will wait for him to come tomorrow," Xiao Qin said directly. "That's great." Yu Xiaochuan nodded. With Hero White Fox's help, there will be no problem with Shanshan and Hero. However, Xiao Qin couldn't go to the Qing family anymore, but it was also good that he didn't go. After he went there, if Qing Mingqiang and Chao Yuliang were on guard in front of him, it would not be easy to expose himself. At the thought of this, Xiao Qin called Jin Beibei and did not hide it from the people present. "Cousin-in-law." Jin Beibei ran to the side and picked up the phone secretly. "Beibei, I have something to do here. Zhu Yingxiong has been injured by someone. I can't leave," Xiao Qin said. "Ah, okay. I'll talk to cousin Menjing." Jin Beibei nodded. "You can stay there tonight. Since tomorrow is the weekend, I will pick you up during the day," Xiao Qin said. "Okay, got it," Jin Beibei answered and secretly went to tell Qing Menjing. When Qing Menjing heard that Xiao Qin left because Zhu Yingxiong was injured, she was not angry. She just snorted and muttered, "This guy. He crushed someone's car and I have to clean it for him every time. Otherwise, how could Xiaoen's let him go so easily?" "Clean his butt?" Jin Beibei asked. "Why are you asking when you already know?" Cheng Minjing kicked Jin Beibei. As they were talking, Qiao Ens went to visit the elders of the Cheng family. At this time, Chao Yuliang happened to come in. He saw Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei in the banquet hall, so he quickly ran over. Minjing Beibei, you are here. Chao Yuliang greeted them warmly. Isn't what you're saying nonsense? This is cousin Minjing's home. If we are not here, are you? Jin Beibei squinted at Chao Yuliang. Chao Yuliang, I don't need you here. You can go ahead with your business. I have something private to talk to Jin Beibei about. Cheng Minjing wanted to send Chao Yuliang away and see what he was going to do next. Otherwise, she could not tell whether he was up to something bad if he kept pestering her. I see. All right then. Since Cheng Minjing had said so, Chao Yuliang did not say anything else. After all, the two girls were talking about something private, and it was not appropriate for him to stay here. Therefore he nodded and said, okay. I'll visit Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng first. Okay, Cheng Minjing replied. After Chao Yuliang left, Jin Beibei looked at Cheng Minjing in confusion and asked, Cousin Minjing, what do you want to talk to me about? Or do you want to send Xiao Yangzi away? Both. Cheng Minjing said, you want to be Detective Bei 007, don't you? Jin Beibei was dazed. What? You help me follow Chao Yuliang and see who he is in contact with and what he does and says. But don't let him find out. Can you accomplish the task? Cheng Minjing said. Yes, it's too easy. Watch me. Jin Beibei immediately patted her chest and said eagerly. Her chest was shivering, which made Cheng Minjing a little envious. Go ahead. After saying that, Cheng Minjing turned around and pretended to be tired. She went to a corner of the dining room and sat down to take a rest. Chao Yuliang left the dining room calmly. He turned around and looked around. After making sure that nobody was around, he took out his phone and dialed a number, saying, Young Master Cheng, it's me. I'm in the Cheng family's mansion now. I have nothing to do now. Can I go and find you? Okay, got it. Jin Beibei was hiding behind a dustbin at the moment. She heard Chao Yuliang's words clearly. Young Master Cheng? Is it Cheng Mingqiang? Why is Chao Yuliang going to find Cheng Mingqiang? Chao Yuliang did not leave immediately. Instead, he stood where he was and played with his phone, which made Jin Beibei a little confused. Did his, okay, got it, mean that he was going or not? However, after a while, Chao Yuliang strode towards an independent villa in the Cheng family's mansion. Cheng Mingqiang received a call from Chao Yuliang. In fact, he was with Xiao Xiao at the moment. Although he trusted Xiao Xiao very much now, Xiao Xiao had not become his woman yet, which made Cheng Mingqiang somewhat defensive. He could not tell her everything, especially when it was related to Xiao Qin. At least, although Xiao Xiao seemed to like him now, she should be very sensitive when it came to the survival of the Xiao family. Therefore, Cheng Mingqiang asked Xiao Xiao to go upstairs to watch a movie while he waited for Chao Yuliang in the living room downstairs. Very soon, Chao Yuliang came to the door of Cheng Mingqiang's villa. However, he did not ring the doorbell. Instead, he directly opened the door and walked in. Obviously, Cheng Mingqiang had left the door open for him. Jin Beibei watched Chao Yuliang enter the single-family villa. She had no choice. She definitely could not follow him in. If she did, she would definitely be discovered. Therefore, she immediately called Cheng Minjing. Beibei, how is it going? Although Cheng Minjing seemed to be resting, she had been thinking about this matter. Jin Beibei should not be in danger. This was the mansion of the Cheng family. Even if Chao Yuliang discovered that he was being followed, he could not do anything to Jin Beibei. However, the main problem was that once Jin Beibei was discovered by Chao Yuliang, he would definitely be alarmed. It would be difficult for Chao Yuliang to catch Jin Beibei after he alerted the enemy. In that case, Xiao Chen's plan would be ruined. Cousin Minjing, I saw that Chao Yuliang called a man named Young Master Cheng very respectfully. After that, he went to Cheng Mingqiang's villa. Jin Beibei reported truthfully. This was Cheng Mingqiang's villa. She also knew that she and Cheng Minjing had been close since they were kids. She was as familiar with the Cheng family as she was with her own home. Oh, you went there? Cheng Minjing's heart suddenly tightened. As she expected, something was wrong. It seemed that Xiao Chen's speculation was correct. Cheng Mingqiang and Chao Yuliang were in different age groups. It was impossible for them to be so close. Also, it was even more impossible for Chao Yuliang to be Cheng Mingqiang's lackey. After all, he was older than Cheng Mingqiang. Unless there was some unknown reason that caused it to become like this. Chao Yuliang was very respectful to Cheng Mingqiang. What did it mean? Why did Chao Yuliang do that? However, it was not important anymore. What mattered was that Cheng Mingqiang was probably the person who dealt with Xiao Chen behind the scenes. Thinking of that, Cheng Minjing immediately felt that her back was soaked in cold sweat. Was he targeting the Xiao family? But how was that possible? Was Uncle Zhao's disappearance related to him too? Then, was the disappearance of her youngest uncle Cheng Zhongqian related to Cheng Mingxiang too? Cheng Minjing was not stupid. As for Cheng Mingxiang's motive, she quickly guessed it. Cheng Zhongqian was the future heir of the Cheng family. However, Cheng Zhongqian was only about 10 years older than Cheng Mingxiang. In this way, if Cheng Zhongqian were to ascend to the position of young master of the Cheng clan, Cheng Mingxiang would have no chance at all. He would lose the position of young master because the day Cheng Zhongqian grew old, he would also grow old. With a gap of 10 years, it was impossible for him to be entrusted with such a heavy responsibility. As for why he didn't deal with her father, the current young patriarch, the reason wasn't hard to understand. She was a woman and would eventually marry, so it was impossible for her father to pass down the position of patriarch. Furthermore, her father's aptitude was mediocre, and this was publicly acknowledged by the family. In fact, everyone understood that Cheng Zhongming's position as young patriarch was merely a passing phase. Once Cheng Zhongqian grew up, the position would be handed over. If her guess was right, then Cheng Mingxiang was a terrifying person. He had such a good plan. But why did he make Uncle Xiao disappear? And why did he target Xiao Qin? Why was that? Was it really because he wanted to take over the Xiao family? If he married Xiao Xiao and killed Xiao Qin, then the Xiao family would definitely be in his pocket. But what did he want the Xiao family to do? Although he could gain some benefits by doing so, it would not be much. This was because the Xiao family did not have much financial resources. Even if they managed to obtain it, they would at most gain the title of an aristocratic family. At most, the Cheng family would promote a trusted family member to take over the position of the Xiao family. Chapter 419. If the Cheng family was not the leader of the Songning family, it would be reasonable for him to do so. However, given the current status of the Cheng family, they did not need to do this at all. The Cheng family did not need to ally with other families. Therefore, Cheng Minjing felt that Cheng Mingxiang's action was superfluous and she could not see through it. Bebe, come back. Let's talk after you come back. Cheng Minjing knew that she could not let Jean Bebe follow them anymore because she could not get in. Oh, okay. Jean Bebe replied and turned around to leave. After entering the villa, Qiao Yuliang quickly closed the door. As soon as he raised his head, he saw Cheng Mingxiang sitting on the sofa waiting for him. He hurried to flatter Cheng Mingxiang and said, "Young Master Cheng, sorry to keep you waiting." Cheng Mingxiang waved his hand and gestured for Qiao Yuliang to sit down. Then he said, "Qiao Yuliang, I heard that Xiao Qin is here today, right?" "Yes, he is here." Qiao Yuliang said, "Besides, I also got a piece of important news about Xiao Qin." "What news?" Cheng Mingxiang's interest was piqued. He craned his neck. Xiao Qin recognized Hero White Fox as his boss. Qiao Yuliang said in a shocking way. Cheng Mingxiang frowned immediately. Xiao Qin did not have any backing in the past. It was not easy to kill him. Now that he had White Fox as his backer, wouldn't it be more difficult to kill him? Thinking of the strict orders his father gave him, and what he thought would be an easy task, it turned out to be so complicated. Why was it so difficult to kill Xiao Qin? He had thought that as long as he used Qiao Yuliang, Xiao Qin would be killed easily. He even wanted to create an accident at the beginning because he did not want others to suspect anything. If Qiao Yuliang was exposed, Cheng Mingxiang couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't betray him. But now it seemed that he was too careful. Not only did Qiao Yuliang fail, but Qin Jinpeng, who cooperated with him, also died. As for Xiao Qin, he had actually recognized the White Fox as his boss. Now, it would not be easy to use force to deal with Xiao Qin. At the very least, it would be under the condition that the White Fox did not interfere. "Qiao Yuliang, I trusted you time and time again, but what about you? Tell me from the beginning to the end, what have you done? Why isn't Xiao Qin dead yet?" Cheng Mingxiang was furious when he thought of this. "Can you do it or not? If you can't do it, I'll find someone else." "Yes, I can definitely do it." Qiao Yuliang was shocked and quickly said, "Young Master Cheng, please rest assured. Xiao Qin is definitely not far from death." "And yes, Xiao Qin. How is his relationship with my sister now?" Cheng Mingxiang suddenly asked. "It seems to be very bad, right?" "Menjing has never liked Xiao Qin," Qiao Yuliang said. "Women are a very strange animal." Cheng Mingxiang said faintly, "If they are together for a long time, it is inevitable that they will have feelings. Once they fall in love with that man, their heart will grow on him. Do you understand what I mean? I understand. Chao Yuliang knew that Qing Mingqiang was talking about Xiao Xiao, but in fact he was also hinting to Qing Minjing not to be taken care of by Xiao Chen. That would be very disadvantageous to him. Okay, you can go now. I'm going upstairs. Qing Mingqiang waved his hand, indicating that Chao Yuliang could leave. Chao Yuliang quickly retreated and left the villa, but he was thinking about how to kill Xiao Chen. Upstairs in the room, Xiao Xiao turned off the phone screen and glanced at the TV screen. On the screen, the frozen image was a bloody skull. It was very horrifying. This is a horror film. Xiao Xiao picked up the remote control and pressed the play button. From the TV, there was a burst of horrified screams. Qing Mingqiang pushed the door open. Xiao Xiao hugged her arms and curled up on the sofa. She was a little nervous. When she saw Qing Mingqiang come in, she immediately said, "Mingqiang, come and watch this movie with me. It is too scary. I don't dare to watch it." "Okay, why are you so timid?" Qing Mingqiang smiled and sat next to Xiao Xiao. He reached out and hugged Xiao Xiao. "No. If you hug me, there won't be such a scary atmosphere." Xiao Xiao pushed Qing Mingqiang away calmly. She hadn't made the final preparations yet. Okay. Qing Mingqiang smiled. He didn't force Xiao Xiao. In his opinion, some things were reasonable and didn't need to be rushed. Chao Yuliang returned to the dining room and saw Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei chatting not far away. He didn't know whether he should go over or not. After all, they said they were talking about something private. He could only cough in the distance to show that he was back. "Cousin Minjing, Xiao Liangzi is back," said Jin Beibei. "You don't have to tell me. I saw it." Chao Yuliang said, "Okay, that's it. Xiao Chen suspects that Meng Chang is the mastermind. Beibei thinks so too. Why don't we ask our cousin-in-law to find a chance to kill him?" "Cousin Minjing, will you be sad?" asked Jin Beibei. "What do you mean kill him? Xiao Chen is no match for him. Qing Mingqiang is not weak. Don't make random suggestions." Qing Minjing said, "Why should I be sad? Girls from big families have to get married eventually. Actually, what the Qing family is like has nothing to do with me in the future. Look at Xiao Xiao now. Isn't she also loyal to Qing Mingqiang?" "Oh." Jin Beibei nodded. Her family's way of education was different from the other big families. Therefore, Jin Beibei had a strong sense of belonging to the Jin family. Chao Yuliang returned. Xiao Enz also returned. He saw Chao Yuliang at first glance. He had investigated before and knew that Chao Yuliang was Qing Minjing's pursuer. Therefore he smiled and walked toward Chao Yuliang. Xiao Chen was no longer a match for him. He was just a follower of Qing Minjing who bullied others. After he settled Qing Minjing, he would be able to deal with him however he wanted. Chao Yuliang was a threat. Therefore he planned to keep Chao Yuliang away from Qing Minjing. "Chao Yuliang, right?" Xiao En smiled and extended his hand to Chao Yuliang. "You are." Chao Yuliang did not know Xiao En's. He did not go to the same school as Xiao Chen and Qing Minjing in junior high. He went there after high school. Naturally, he did not know Xiao En's. Moreover, when Xiao En's was in the third year of high school, Qing Minjing was in the first year of junior high. When Chao Yuliang went there, Xiao En's had already graduated and left Songning City. It would be strange if he knew him. "Let me introduce myself. I am Xiao En's, Minjing's childhood sweetheart." Xiao En said, "I heard that you are from the secular Chao family? Don't come here if you have nothing to do. You are not welcome here." "What do you mean? Is there something wrong with you?" Chao Yuliang was stunned. Then he said angrily, "Do you have anything to do with me? If not, I am leaving." I am not finished. I am from the law enforcement hall of the secular headquarters of the warrior guild." Xiao En smiled and said, "Chao Yuliang, what do you think of the suggestion I told you before?" "Nothing much. Are you threatening me? So what if you are from the warrior guild? What does it have to do with you that I am pursuing the goddess? If you have the ability, get engaged with the Qing family and I will quit." Chao Yuliang curled his lips and scolded, "Idiot! Do you really think you are someone important? You?" Xiao En's was a little dumbfounded. His identity was quite useful in front of the disciples of the secular families. Even Chen Huanling had to curry favor with him. What was wrong with this Chao Yuliang? Did he not know his power and strength? "What about you? Is there anything else?" Chao Yuliang asked. "I am in charge of investigating the crimes of the disciples of the secular families." "Chao Yuliang, you do not know what I do you?" Xiao En said coldly. "I know. So what?" If Chao Yuliang did not cooperate with Qing Mingqiang, he would naturally be afraid of Xiao En's. But now he had no choice. He got close to Qing Minjing because he could invite Xiaoqin out through her. He could also ask Xiaoqin to help him plan. If he gave up, how could he find Xiaoqin in the future? Compared to this Qiao En's, he felt that Qing Mingqiang was more terrifying. Qing Mingqiang had the ability to make an ordinary person become a martial artist like him. If someone said that the Qing family did not have the support of a ruthless person, Qiao Yuliang would not believe it. Even the warrior guild could not make an ordinary person reach the peak of stage 3 inner force. But Qing Mingqiang could. Moreover, he controlled Qiao Yuliang's lifeline. It was impossible for Qiao Yuliang to ruin his business because of Qiao En's threat. You are very good. Qiao En's was about to explode. The people of Songning City, Xiaoqin was a stubborn person. This Qiao Yuliang was the same. What the hell was wrong with them? Although he lost face, Qiao Yuliang did not commit any crime. It was not good for him to investigate him. Qiao Yuliang turned around and walked towards Qing Minjing. Qiao En's was so angry that he followed behind. Previously he went to visit old master Qing Zhongming and Qing Zhongfan. He hinted that Qing Minjing could be his concubine. Moreover, he also hinted that he was one of the candidates to become the warrior guild's president in the future. It could be seen that old master Qing was moved. However, both Qing Zhongming and Qing Zhongfan expressed strong opposition. Old master Qing saw that both his sons were unanimously against it, so he did not say anything. This immediately made Xiao En's depressed. In fact, Qing Zhongming was also somewhat puzzled. What was Qing Zhongfan against? He was against it because of Xiaoqin. Could it be that Qing Zhongfan was against it because of Qiao Yuliang? But what did this have to do with him? Of course this was not the case. Qing Zhongfan did not care whether Qiao Yuliang was Qiao Yuliang or not. He was just a chess piece in Qing Mingqiang's hands. Qing Minjing was just a temptation and reward for him. If Qing Mingqiang wanted to matchmake them, then so be it. If not, Qing Zhongfan would not interfere. What he was really worried about was Qiao En's identity as the Warrior Guild's law enforcement hall. Because what he was going to do in the future was against the Warrior Guild's rules. Chapter 420. Although he didn't think that Qiao En's was a good person, if Qiao En's intervened or even reported, then Qing Zhongfan would lose more than he gained. Therefore, it was better to have less contact with this kind of person, which was why he expressed his strong opposition. Qiao En's, who was full of anger, also hit a wall on Qiao Yuliang's side. Listening to Qiao Yuliang's words, he suspected that the Qing family and the Qiao family had secretly reached an agreement to unite by marriage, so they rejected him. Thinking about it, it was really possible. Therefore, in Qiao En's heart, he also hated Qiao Yuliang. He planned to deal with White Fox and get a reward from the higher-ups. At the same time, he fabricated a little crime against Qiao Yuliang to mess with him. At that time, he investigated a big case and was in the limelight. The higher-ups shouldn't interfere too much with him investigating Qiao Yuliang. Thinking of this, Qiao En snorted coldly as if he had already won. Minjing, what do you want to eat? I'll help you get it. Qiao Yuliang walked over and asked Qing Minjing. Minjing, what do you want to drink? I'll help you get it. Qiao En's also walked over and said, I don't want to eat anything. You guys go ahead. Thank you. Qing Minjing shook her head. How could she have any appetite? On one side was her family and on the other side was Xiaoqin. Her heart was in a mess. For a moment, it was difficult to make a choice. If it was in the past, she might be inclined to the Qing family. After all, the Qing family was her family. How could she be partial to outsiders? That Xiaoqin was so hateful. He pursued Xin Jingxian and Ke Lin in front of her. How could he see her as his fiancée? What did it have to do with her whether he died or not? If he died, she would be free. But now, after spending so much time with Xiaoqin, Qing Minjing found that Xiaoqin was actually a very good person. The balance in her heart slowly shifted. Although Qing Mingqiang was her younger brother, to be honest, Qing Minjing was not very close to him. Besides, he wanted to harm Xiaoqin. If he was killed by Xiaoqin, he would only have himself to blame, and she would not help either side. But, what if Qing Mingqiang got what he wanted? Xiaoqin was an ordinary person without any strength. How was he going to fight Qing Mingqiang? Cousin Minjing, what's wrong? Jean Bebe discovered that Qing Minjing was not in a good mood. Is it because of my cousin-in-law and Qing Mingqiang? Yes. Qing Minjing did not deny it. She nodded. You won't die if you don't court death. Jean Bebe said. Cousin Minjing, this is the truth. Yeah. Qing Minjing thought about it and agreed. If Qing Mingqiang didn't court death, he definitely wouldn't die. But I'm worried about Xiaoqin. Cousin-in-law? Don't worry. My cousin-in-law is a transformer. He is very awesome. Once he transforms, he will become an awesome person. Jean Bebe said with a smile. Do you think he's Spider-Man? Cheng Minjing rolled her eyes at Jean Bebe. Jean Bebe said. Cheng Minjing planned to tell Xiao Chen about this when she got home. She wanted him to be careful. Wasn't the White Fox swordsman his boss? If Hero White Fox were to take action, then Qing Mingqiang would definitely not dare to act rashly. In fact, neither Qiao Yuliang nor Qiao Enz was close to Cheng Minjing. Today, Cheng Minjing acted like she didn't want anyone to get close to her. Even her acquaintances didn't want to talk to her. Therefore, Qiao Yuliang and Qiao Enz could only stare at each other. However, Qiao Enz also understood that it was impossible to start from the Qing family. The Qing family didn't agree. Therefore, he could only work on Cheng Minjing. When Cheng Minjing followed him, the Qing family wouldn't say anything. Moreover, the Qing family was the top aristocratic family in Songning. He couldn't threaten them. After a quiet night, Qiao Yuliang and Qiao Enz stared at each other for the whole night. Then they left. It was meaningless to stay there. They looked at each other. Neither of them had the chance to get close to Cheng Minjing. Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe went to rest early. It was meaningless for them to stay here. They might as well go back and show their talents. Qiao Yuliang didn't mind. He was used to running into walls. In his opinion, the current situation was good enough. At least he could go in and out of the Qing family freely. It was impossible in the past. Qiao Enz was very depressed. Why didn't everything go smoothly after he arrived in Songning City? Originally, he wanted to investigate the White Fox, but he was stopped by Song Hua Wu and Hong Zhu. He had finally found Yang Jianan to rely on after much difficulty, but the White Fox still ignored him, causing him to embarrass himself at the Yu clan's wedding banquet. Now he came to pursue Cheng Minjing. He even met Qiao Yuliang, the stubborn hothead. This Songning City really drove him crazy. In the past, when he went to other cities to carry out missions, he was always surrounded by people. Those small families couldn't wait to treat him as a distinguished guest. They were respectful and afraid of him, but now? He felt like AF * King Clown. White Fox, it's all your fault. If you didn't treat me like this, would these families not take me seriously? I'll definitely tear you into pieces. He pushed all the blame to White Fox, thinking that it was White Fox who made him lose face, which led to the subsequent setbacks. In the middle of the night, Yi Xiaoya waited for a long time, but the White Fox swordsman didn't come over to duel cultivate with her. Yi Xiaoya was a little anxious. She had been progressing very quickly recently, and it was all thanks to their dual cultivation every night. She wanted to send a message to White Fox to ask if he would come. But Yi Xiaoya hesitated for a while and still didn't send it. It was as if she had to look for him. She thought that she had to take off her clothes during cultivation. She was a girl, so how could she take the initiative? She thought that White Fox would come after a while or at least send a message. But it was already 3 in the morning and White Fox still hadn't appeared. Yi Xiaoya didn't sleep all night waiting for him. She was a little annoyed and sent a message to White Fox. Where the hell are you? Xiao Chen looked at the push notification on the Cultivators Guild's app and smacked his head. He had been so busy that he had forgotten about this matter. He said apologetically, a friend of mine was beaten up by someone. I am in his house, preparing to stand up for him. Where? Do you need me to go? Yi Xiaoya saw the message and wasn't angry anymore. After all, White Fox had something to do and did not come for no reason. You clan, if you come, you'll be standing up for him in the name of Demon Star Sect. That's not good, right? The other party is the Ouyang clan of the provincial capital, the martial arts clan. Xiao Chen said. It's okay, wait for me. Yi Xiaoya was obviously not afraid of the Ouyang clan. Speaking of which, the demon sect and the righteous sects often had small conflicts in private. They didn't take it seriously at all. Of course, they were all small-scale conflicts. It was impossible for 2 sects or clans to fight to the death. Xiao Chen had no choice but to give the Yu clan's address to Yi Xiaoya. Then he said to Yu Xiaochuan, my partner Demon Star Sect's Yi Baiya will be here in a while. Tomorrow we'll stand up for Old Pig together. However, don't reveal my identity. She doesn't know my identity. Don't let it slip. Xiao Chen was afraid that Yi Xiaoya would kill him after knowing that he was Xiao Chen. Don't worry, Hero White Fox. We all call you Hero White Fox. Yu Xiaochuan said quickly. He was a little excited. Boss Xiao Chen was awesome. That girl from Demon Star Sect must have taken a fancy to Boss. Otherwise, why would she come to help him? Humph, she's really a little slut. Yu Shanshan, Tang Tang and Zhu Yingxiong also nodded in agreement. They didn't want to bring unnecessary trouble to Xiao Chen. After a while Yi Xiaoya arrived. She was wearing a tight outfit and looked cool. She had the aura of a heroine. Early the next morning, Ouyang Liang came to the Yu clan again at dawn. However, when he walked into the living room he was slightly stunned. When he saw White Fox and Yi Baiye sitting at the head of the living room, his face suddenly changed. That day he also went to watch Ouyang Tang's summit competition. Naturally he knew who Hero White Fox was. However, he didn't expect that Hero White Fox would be sitting here. Wasn't the Yu clan also a branch of a righteous sect? How could they be related to the demon sect? Could it be that they were also guests? Thinking of this, Ouyang Liang forced himself to calm down and said, "Yu Xiaochuan, Yu Shanshan, what's wrong? Yu clan has guests? Is it this stupid thing?" Xiao Chen pointed at Ouyang Liang and asked. "Hero White Fox, that's him?" Yu Xiaochuan quickly replied. "Well, Ouyang, who are you? You're quite daring, aren't you?" Xiao Chen asked coldly. "Yesterday you came to the Yu clan to act tough and injured Zhuing Xiong?" At this moment, Ouyang Liang finally confirmed that White Fox was asked to stand up for him. He was shocked and wanted to leave. After all, he was a stage 6 inner strength martial artist. It was impossible for him to compete with White Fox, the #1 person in the summit. "Yu Xiaochuan, what do you mean? Isn't your Yu clan a righteous sect? How dare you collude with the demon sect? If this matter is known by the righteous sect's martial arts alliance master, you know the consequences." Ouyang Liang threatened. "The Yu clan is not enough to invite me." Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Zhuing Xiong is my little brother. He was beaten by you. I'm only here to ask for an explanation." Yu Xiaochuan was not unhappy with Xiao Chen's words. Instead, he felt that Xiao Chen was loyal and did not implicate the Yu clan. He only highlighted that he was asked to come by Zhuing Xiong. This way the Yu clan would not have much to do with the Yu clan. As for the Zhu clan, it was just a small family. This kind of family could be either righteous or demonic. It was not like the Yu clan, which was a branch of the Yu clan of Jianghu. It had already been labeled as a righteous sect and could not be changed. Unless the Yu clan of Jianghu changed their faction, the Yu clan of Songning would not be able to change their faction so easily. So it's him? Ouyang Liang's heart tightened. If White Fox was found by the Yu clan, it could be solved with a little negotiation. However, if it was found by Zhuing Xiong, this matter would not end so easily. He had seen White Fox's ruthless methods. Those who provoked him would not have a good ending. He subconsciously took 2 steps back. Chapter 421. Standing at the entrance, Ouyang Liang laughed dryly. "Haha, so that's how it is? That's a misunderstanding. Just pretend that I never came. I'll leave first. Let's not talk about the engagement anymore." "Did I let you go?" Xiao Chen said coldly when he saw Ouyang Liang trying to escape. "White Fox, I didn't know that Zhuing Xiong is your little brother. Let's forget about this. What else do you want?" Ouyang Liang asked weakly. "Oh, you seriously injured him and you want to forget about this?" Xiao Chen asked. "No, what else do you want?" Ouyang Liang's breath stagnated. "Well." As soon as Xiao Chen's voice fell, he made a move. With a seemingly gentle wave, Ouyang Liang flew out and fell heavily on the ground, vomiting blood. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Yu Xiaochuan was shocked. He didn't know when Xiao Chen became so ruthless. Was this person really the original Xiao Chen? Or was the previous Xiao Chen just a disguise? Thinking of this, Yu Xiaochuan felt a burst of fear. If Xiao Chen didn't like him before, would he have become a corpse? Fortunately, he changed his gender and didn't do anything bad to Tang Tang. Otherwise he wouldn't be able to escape. Inform the Ouyang clan to collect the body and tell them what happened. Xiao Chen said to Yu Xiaochuan, "Put all the blame on me. Tell the Ouyang clan that if they have the ability they can challenge the demonic star sect." Yi Xiaoya interrupted. Okay. Yu Xiaochuan didn't dare to neglect. After all, the disciple of the Ouyang clan of Jianghu died in the Yu clan of Songning. If it wasn't handled well, it might cause a series of troubles. But now that the troubles were taken by the demonic star sect, the Yu clan had nothing to worry about. Yu Xiaochuan called the Ouyang clan of Jianghu and told them what happened here. Although Ouyang Liang came from a side branch, he was still one of the outstanding disciples of the clan. Although he didn't explicitly say that he would participate in the competition for the young master, he was also one of the disciples who would be trained in the future. Now, he had actually died in the Yu clan. Moreover, he was killed by people from the Demon Star sect. How could the Ouyang clan not be furious? However, the people from the Ouyang family were not fools. They had heard of the White Fox hero's name. He knew that the White Fox swordsman had been in the limelight recently. He possessed the strength of a demonic cultivator at the peak of Stage 8 internal force. With such strength, there were few who could rival him among the younger generation, at least among the true martial arts aristocratic families. Although the current patriarch of the Ouyang clan was an extremely powerful expert, he couldn't act. If he did, it would be equivalent to provoking the other sections. If he killed the White Fox, the old monsters of the Devil Star sect would come out and massacre the Ouyang clan. At that time, it would be a large-scale conflict. Not only would the Martial Artist Guild not allow it, even the Supernatural Investigation Bureau would step in and interfere. Even the Martial Arts Alliance Master and the Demonic Clan Master would not allow such a large-scale conflict. That was a violation of the peace agreement that everyone had signed back then. Large-scale conflicts between sects were prohibited. It didn't matter if it was a personal conflict, but it was absolutely not allowed to escalate to a conflict between sections. Uncle, although Liang Heir was born from my personal maid, he was also a key disciple of our Ouyang clan. He can't die in vain. The man with a sad face was Ouyang Liang and Ouyang Tang's father, Ouyang Hudu. His uncle was the current patriarch of the Ouyang clan, Ouyang Junba. He was also the pillar of the Ouyang clan, an old monster-level existence. Only the people of the Ouyang clan knew how long he had lived. Of course, his age at this time was already several times the lifespan of an ordinary person. Care? Can I do it? Ouyang Junba said coldly. Ouyang Liang, Ouyang Tang, don't use your brains. Don't you know who you can provoke and who you can't? That White Fox is now in the limelight. Provoking his people, isn't that courting death? Then, this hatred can't be avenged. Ouyang Hudu said with grief and indignation. Third brother, don't you understand father's words? The one who spoke was Ouyang Junba's son, Ouyang Hudian. Father just told the children of our Ouyang clan not to be impulsive. We have to plan before we act. Yes, Hudu, you have to learn from Hudian. How many times have I said it? Don't you remember the examples I gave you? Ouyang Junba said, what I said is my personal experience. My two cousins, because they offended a ruthless person, they both died tragically. This is a living example to tell you that you shouldn't provoke people that you shouldn't provoke. But now, Ouyang Hudu smiled bitterly. His ears were getting calluses from listening to the family's teachings. But at that time, the Ouyang clan was just an underworld family like the Songning clan. Now the Ouyang clan was a real martial arts family. Was there anything wrong with this? It could only be said that Ouyang Tang and Ouyang Liang were unlucky. They kicked an iron plate. Usually, Ouyang Hutian's son was also bullying outside, but he didn't see him being beaten to death. However, he couldn't say this. Who asked him to be so unlucky? I can't do it, but as their father you can. Although it's a bit bullying, at least it's in line with the rules. Ouyang Junba said. I'm not his opponent. Ouyang Hudu's face changed. He was just a martial artist at the 8th level of inner force. He was not even as good as White Fox. Wasn't he courting death? There may be other opportunities in the next Righteous Devil Summit. Let Kuang Air do it. This White Fox must be eliminated, but not now. Ouyang Junba said faintly, Hudian, when Kuang Air comes out, ask him to see me. Yes, father. Ouyang Hudian quickly said. This Ouyang Kuang was his son. He was now a martial artist at the peak of the 10th level of inner force. He was now in a life and death retreat. For a martial artist, it was the most important hurdle in life. If he could break through, he would be like a carp leaping through the dragon's gate. However, Ouyang Kuang didn't seem to be interested in the fight for the head of the family. He had been training crazily since he was a child. He was also crazy about challenging others. He liked the feeling of stepping on all the masters of his generation. Ouyang Hudu, go and ask someone to bring Ouyang Liang's body back. Don't have any conflict with White Fox. This matter will be decided after Kuang Air comes out. Ouyang Junba ordered. Yes. Ouyang Hudu was depressed. He thought that one of his two sons could fight for the position of the head of the family. At the very least, he could become an elder of the family. But now, one was dead and the other was injured. How could he not be sad? What surprised Xiao Chen was that the Ouyang family only sent a few ordinary disciples to take away Ouyang Liang's body. They didn't provoke or threaten to fight. It was as if this matter was just an ordinary matter and had nothing to do with the Ouyang family. This calm reaction made Xiao Chen frown slightly. What did the Ouyang family want to do? They didn't say anything about revenge. They also didn't say that this matter was over. Even if they asked, it would be useless. Xiao Chen secretly raised his guard. This Ouyang family was really good at enduring. If someone was killed on the summit, it was still possible to endure. But if someone was killed in private, how many of them would be able to endure and not take revenge? However, this also made Xiao Chen feel that there was an expert in the Ouyang family. At least, the person in charge of the Ouyang family had a clear mind and wasn't impulsive. They couldn't even be compared to the Extreme Ice sect. When someone from the Extreme Ice sect died, the first thing they thought of was revenge. As for the Ouyang family, from Xiao Chen's point of view, it wasn't because they were afraid of the martial family. To be able to become a martial family, their foundation was very strong. They were completely different from ordinary families. The Cheng family was so powerful now, but they still couldn't become a martial family. So there must be a problem. However, on the surface, Xiao Chen didn't say this. He just had to be careful. He just said to Yu Xiaochuan, "Okay, I'll leave first. If there's anything, contact me at any time." "Okay, Hero White Fox, thank you." Yu Xiaochuan said quickly. "Thank you." Yu Shanshan was also very grateful to Xiao Chen. Previously, she was a little angry that he stole her brother's wife, but now there was no resentment. After all, her brother also said that he couldn't touch women while he was cultivating. Moreover, Xiao Chen saved her man and stood up for them. How could she be angry with Xiao Chen again? Xiao Chen waved his hand, indicating that Zhu Yingxiong should rest well. He nodded to Tang Tang and left the Yu family with Yi Xiaoya. Looking at Xiao Chen's car, Yi Xiaoya was a little surprised. "Isn't this Xiao Chen's car? Why did it come to your place?" Even if Yi Xiaoya didn't ask, Xiao Chen had to explain to her. He said, "Zhu Yingxiong is Xiao Chen's little brother, which is also my little brother. I'm helping Xiao Chen." "You're quite loyal." Hearing that White Fox was helping Xiao Chen, Yi Xiaoya didn't raise any objection. Xiao Chen thought that Yi Xiaoya didn't say that he was nosy because he was a neighbor. "Aren't we the people of Jianghu supposed to be loyal?" Xiao Chen said with a smile. "Well, we in the Demon Gate are all people of character. We are much better than those righteous sects who are full of righteousness and are more overbearing than anyone else. They are all hypocrites who only protect their own interests and suppress us, the Demon Gate." Yi Xiaoya snorted. "Sooner or later, we will let them know the power of the Demon Gate. You have a strong sense of belonging to the Demon Gate." Xiao Chen sighed. "Aren't you?" Yi Xiaoya thought for a moment and said, "But you may be a little worse. After all, you practice by yourself. Even if your master is from the Demon Gate, he can't tell you too much, so your sense of belonging may be relatively poor." "Maybe." Xiao Chen didn't deny it. In fact, Xiao Chen had never seen the beautiful ant that Yi Xiaoya mentioned, but he was happy to misunderstand, so he didn't have to explain too much. Chapter 422. "Right, it's right for you to help Xiao Chen," Yi Xiaoya suddenly said. "What do you mean?" Xiao Chen was stunned. "You're not interested in him, are you?" "I want to help him. Not only did you not say that I was nosy, but you also asked me to help him more?" "What are you talking about?" Yi Xiaoya blushed and said, "I want to say that the beautiful auntie who taught you cultivation may have some relationship with Xiao Chen, so you should help him more. Don't let him get hurt." Xiao Chen's heart tightened. "What? The beautiful auntie that Yi Xiaoya mentioned has a relationship with Xiao Chen? But why didn't I know? I am Xiao Chen. Whether it was the identity of Xiao Chen or the White Fox, I have never seen any beautiful auntie. What's the relationship between her and Xiao Chen?" Xiao Chen asked calmly. "It's hard to say specifically. Don't ask. This is our sect's internal secret. I can't say it casually. Don't force me." Yi Xiaoya shook her head. "Okay." Although Xiao Chen was very puzzled since Yi Xiaoya said so, he naturally couldn't force her. "Let's go. Let's go home. I didn't cultivate yesterday. My strength didn't improve much." Yi Xiaoya complained. "But it's already morning," Xiao Chen said as he pointed outside the window. "You're so annoying. Don't not look for me in the middle of the night next time." Yi Xiaoya just remembered that it was already daytime. How embarrassing would it be if they cultivated together? "Okay, as long as I'm fine, I'll look for you," Xiao Chen promised quickly. "Okay." Yi Xiaoya nodded. After driving back to the villa, Xiao Chen asked Yi Xiaoya to come in. He parked the car and pretended to leave the villa area on foot. In fact, he just walked around and found a place where nobody was around to change his clothes. Then he returned to the villa with Xiao Chen's face. After a simple wash, Xiao Chen drove to the Cheng family's villa. He still needed to pick up Cheng Menjing and Jean Beibei. He drove all the way to the Cheng family's villa. He sent a message to the eldest young miss, asking if she had woken up yet. Very soon the eldest young miss replied, saying that she was having breakfast in the Cheng family's dining room and that Xiao Chen could come over directly. Xiao Chen's car wasn't stopped at the entrance because he had sent Missy here yesterday. He arrived at the entrance of the Cheng family's dining room. Xiao Chen got out of the car and walked in. However, when he saw the people who were eating, he slowed down slightly. There were only 2 tables in the restaurant. One table was for the direct descendants of the Cheng family, and the other table was for the relatives and some womenfolk of the Cheng family, such as Cheng Mingqiang and Cheng Menjing's mother, who were not of the Cheng family's surname. Cheng Menjing was naturally sitting at the table for the direct descendants of the Cheng family. To Xiao Chen's surprise, Jin Beibei was also sitting there. However, considering that she was a guest, it was understandable. But that was nothing. What shocked Xiao Chen the most was that there was another person who was not of the Cheng family at that table. It was Xiao Xiao. To his surprise, Xiao Xiao was also here. Xiao Chen sighed slightly. It seemed that Xiao Xiao was finally with Cheng Mingqiang. Grandpa Cheng, Uncle Zhongming, Uncle Zhongfan. Xiao Chen had no choice but to walk over and greet them. Old Master Cheng snorted coldly. Ignoring them, he lowered his head and continued to eat. Xiao Chen, you are here. Have you had breakfast? Would you like to sit down and eat with me? Cheng Zhongming said warmly. Brother, have you forgotten how Zhongqian disappeared? Cheng Zhongfan glanced at Cheng Zhongming and reminded him. Well, Cheng Zhongming's expression froze slightly. I'm not eating. I'm here to take Missy and Beibei back to the villa. Xiao Chen smiled and didn't take it seriously. He was now basically sure that there were almost no good people in the Cheng family except for Cheng Zhongming, so he didn't bother to build a good relationship with them. When the time comes, he would definitely kill them. Why would he care so much? It's important to have self-awareness and know your position. It's not bad. Old Master Cheng glanced at Xiao Chen and nodded with satisfaction. Because Xiao Chen's words positioned himself as a servant, always remember that you, a member of the Xiao family, is a sinner of the Cheng family. He is not a member of the Xiao family. Xiao Xiao said coldly. Ah, that's right. Why are you angry because of a person who was kicked out of the Xiao family? Grandpa, uncle, father, let's eat. Cheng Mingqiang also laughed. Cheng Menjing glared at Xiao Xiao angrily. She didn't understand why Xiao Xiao said this to her brother. Even if he was kicked out of the family, it couldn't change the fact that he was a member of the Xiao family, right? Moreover, Xiao Chen wasn't as useless as everyone thought. Besides, how could Xiao Chen be blamed for the disappearance of her uncle? Now in Cheng Menjing's opinion, it was most likely that Cheng Mingqiang was behind it. He was there with Xiao Xiao, a thief crying thief. I'm full. Beibei, let's go back. Cheng Menjing stood up and said, Grandpa, father, second uncle, I'll go back first. Why, Menjing, you don't want to listen to us talking about Xiao Chen. Do you still have a fiancé in your heart? Cheng Zhongfan said sarcastically. Of course, there was nothing wrong with his question. After all, Xiao Chen was the common enemy of the Cheng family. Uncle Cheng, don't be angry. Xiao Chen is her servant. If he is beaten to a pulp, it won't look good for her, right? You have to look at the owner before you beat the dog. Although he has been kicked out of the Xiao family, if he does anything to harm the Xiao family, I will also be unhappy. Xiao Xiao said to Cheng Zhongfan with a smile. Yes, let's save some face for my sister. Cheng Mingqiang nodded and smiled. He found that Xiao Xiao was really on the same side as the Cheng family now. She didn't forget to insult Xiao Chen. This was a good thing. Cheng Mingqiang was afraid that Xiao Xiao would be unhappy if she found out that he killed Xiao Chen and would throw a tantrum with him. But from the looks of it now, killing Xiao Xiao would only be said to be getting rid of a scourge for the Xiao family. Cheng Menjing was a little annoyed. Is she Xiao Chen's biological sister? Is she not his biological sister? How could she say that? She turned around and left with Jin Beibei with a gloomy face. Xiao Chen shrugged and followed them. He turned a deaf ear to Xiao Zhao's criticism as if he didn't hear it at all. After leaving the Cheng family's restaurant and returning to the car, the eldest miss was still indignant. Xiao Chen, why is your relationship with Xiao Xiao so bad? Why does she always speak up for Cheng Mingqiang's family? In the past, our relationship was actually quite good, but I don't know when it started, but she rarely spoke to me anymore. Xiao Chen sighed, feeling a little emotional. Thinking back to when he was young, Xiao Xiao always followed him to school, followed him after school, stuck to him whenever there was nothing to do, and even said that she would marry him when she grew up. Xiao Chen felt a little sad. He didn't know when Xiao Xiao gradually alienated and treated him coldly. She didn't have the same feeling as when they were young anymore. When Xiao Xiao saw him at home, she just nodded coldly and sneered at the engagement between him and Qing Menjing. However, she was right. He would break off the engagement sooner or later. When I was young, my sister always thought that her brother was the best. But when she grew up and saw more, her opinion might have changed. In fact, it's like me. I used to think that Xiao En's was quite awesome, but now it seems that he is also a filthy person, Qing Menjing said. How can you compare me with him? Xiaochen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, isn't your relationship with Cheng Mingqiang just as bad? We've always been bad. We haven't been good since we were young, not until later. Cheng Menjing said, forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's go back. Another week has passed. Time flies. Yes. I'm so sleepy. I didn't sleep well last night, so cousin Menjing talked to me. Cousin-in-law, hurry up and drive. Bebe is going back to catch up on sleep. Jean Bebe said. It's such a good weekend, but you're sleeping. Cheng Menjing glared at her and yawned. Cousin Menjing is sleepy too. Jean Bebe shouted excitedly as if she had discovered a new continent. I've been infected by you, Cheng Menjing said grumpily. Xiaochen smiled and drove back to the villa. Miss Su and Jean Bebe went upstairs to sleep. Xiaochen had nothing to do. In the past, when he and Tang Tang went to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks, he would either go out with Miss Su or attend a summit. Anyway, his schedule was full and he had no time to rest. But now he didn't know what to do. Since he couldn't go to Yi Xiaoya for dual cultivation, Xiaochen had nothing to do. He planned to go out and take a look at the antique market and the old goods market to see if he could buy ancient jade or something. However, as soon as he went out, something happened. Kerlin was busy selling noodles. With a good location, the flow of customers increased. But to Kerlin's surprise, Lu Shuangshuang came to the morning market early in the morning to help her sell noodles as a free part-time worker. Lu Shuangshuang, aren't you going to sell binoculars? Kerlin was a little confused. The business should be better on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Why did she come here instead of selling binoculars? I'm not going. I'm going to help you sell noodles. You see how busy I am today. If I weren't here, I would have missed several batches of customers and made less than 100 yuan. Lu Shuangshuang said with a smile. Kerlin was a little speechless. You can make nearly 5,000 yuan by selling a binocular. Why do you care about my 100 yuan? I won't give it to you even if you say it again. I didn't ask for it. Lu Shuangshuang said, I'm here to help for free. Lu Shuangshuang, is there something wrong? Why do I feel that you have something to talk to me about? Kerlin frowned and looked at Lu Shuangshuang. She grew up with Lu Shuangshuang. She knew Lu Shuangshuang's character very well. Lu Shuangshuang regarded money as her life. How could she give up such a good time to sell binoculars and come to help for no reason? Lu Shuangshuang was a warm-hearted person. Sometimes she would come to help after work in the warrior's market. But now the warrior's market was still open. Chapter 423. No. Lu Shuangshuang quickly put away the spinach in her hand and began to peel the braised egg. She was very busy. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. I won't help you even if you say it later, said Kerlin. Then I have it. Lu Shuangshuang said quickly. You have it again? Kerlin looked at Lu Shuangshuang with a smile and said, Lu Shuangshuang, I said you have something, right? You see, if you have something, just say it. Do we still need to be like this? This matter, it may be a little difficult for you, but can you help me? Lu Shuangshuang hesitated and said shyly. Shuangshuang, you haven't said what it is. How can I help you? Kerlin was a little dumbfounded. What else can it be difficult for me? You don't want to borrow money from me, right? Then I don't have a penny. My scholarship has to be handed over to my parents. Although I lack money, I can barely support my family. My business won't open for 3 months, but once it opens, it will eat for 3 months. Lu Shuangshuang said, It's something else. What is it? Kerlin suddenly had some doubts. What can Lu Shuangshuang ask for from me? I want to borrow someone from you. Lu Shuangshuang looked at Kerlin's expression and said carefully. Borrow someone? Borrow who? Kerlin was stunned. My family, only my dad and mom. Why are you so stupid? Of course, I want to borrow your boyfriend. Lu Shuangshuang said with a smile. How about it? Do you want to borrow him? My boyfriend? Kerlin was stunned. She didn't know what to say. After a while she said, Shuangshuang, I don't have a boyfriend. Don't talk nonsense. Why not? He accompanied you to P. If he wasn't your boyfriend with your shy character, would you take off your pants in front of him? Lu Shuangshuang pulled Kerlin to the side. Now let's talk alone. Uncle and Auntie can't hear us. I know you don't want your family to know that you are in a relationship. I'm not in puppy love. Kerlin stomped her feet. I told you he's not my boyfriend. He's just sending me home. You all went to get a room, don't think I don't know. Lu Shuangshuang said. I really didn't. You misunderstood, Shuangshuang. Kerlin explained a little frantically. He really isn't my boyfriend. There was a special situation that day. I fainted and he happened to see me. He took me to rest for a while and then sent me home. In the end I had to go to the toilet and then I met a pervert. I was scared, so I asked him to accompany me. Oh, I believe you. Can you lend him to me for a while? Although Lu Shuangshuang said that she believed him, she obviously didn't. Otherwise, why would she continue to ask Kerlin for a boyfriend? Shuangshuang, why don't you believe me? He's really not my boyfriend. How can I lend it to you? Kerlin said helplessly, all right, go to your work. Go to the warrior guild and sell your stuff. Kuer, I really have something big. Please help me. Lu Shuangshuang was a little anxious. You can't leave me in the lurch. How can I leave you in the lurch? Kerlin smiled bitterly and said, Shuangshuang, Xiaoqun isn't my boyfriend. Besides, if you lend him to me, can he save you? Yes. Lu Shuangshuang nodded. Isn't this our junior high school reunion? That fat bear from our class, you should know him, right? He's the school bully from our middle school. Didn't he always pursue me in school? A few days ago, I don't know why he heard that my family is in trouble, so he said that he wanted to take care of me. I was angry, so I said that I already have a rich boyfriend. In the end, I didn't expect that it's a reunion. If I don't bring him, won't I lose face? Kerlin was a little speechless. Why is this Lu Shuangshuang so vain? She can even brag like this. However, she knew about Fat Bear. Although she wasn't in the same class as Lu Shuangshuang in junior high, she had heard about such a famous school bully like Fat Bear. However, at that time, she was a well-behaved girl who was protected by the teachers in school. She had the hope of getting into number 1 middle school or number 2 middle school with her real results, so no one harassed her. However, when she reached high school, it was completely different. This was different from her ordinary middle school. There were more bad guys here. Those rich young masters were even more unscrupulous than Fat Bear. If it wasn't for Xiaoqun who always looked after her, she really didn't know if she would be defiled or not. Sometimes, Kerlin kept thinking, why is my luck so bad? Shuangshuang, then why don't you not go to the reunion? Kerlin suggested weakly. How can I not go? I promised him before. This reunion was agreed a long time ago. I didn't expect it to be tonight. In the end, I just talked to Fat Bear about it 2 days ago. Lu Shuangshuang said with a bitter face. You are vain. It's useless. Kerlin didn't know what to say. Although I want to help, he really isn't my boyfriend. I can't trouble him. It's okay. Give me your phone number. I will call him. I will talk to him. Lu Shuangshuang said. This isn't very good, right? Kerlin felt that giving someone else's phone number was a kind of immoral behavior. Then I will ask Uncle and Auntie for it. Lu Shuangshuang pretended to leave. Okay, I'm really scared of you. I will give it to you. But don't talk nonsense. You look for him in your own name. Don't say anything about me. Kerlin couldn't help it. She could only say so, but she still warned her. I know. Give it to me. Lu Shuangshuang said eagerly. Kerlin wrote down Xiaoqun's phone number and gave it to Lu Shuangshuang. Then she went back to work. She was pulled over by Lu Shuangshuang for a long time. The business there was a little busy. Lu Shuangshuang rolled her eyes. She took out her mobile phone and dialed Xiaoqun's number. She had a mobile phone. Perhaps only a good girl like Kerlin didn't have a mobile phone. Hello? Xiaoqun was a little puzzled. There was a strange call from his mobile phone card. Is it Kuer's boyfriend? Lu Shuangshuang asked with a smile. Kuer's boyfriend? You called the wrong number. Xiaoqun said subconsciously. He was about to hang up the phone. His identity was not anyone's boyfriend. Even Tang Tang's identity was not disclosed to the public. Hey, wait. Don't hang up. Lu Shuangshuang said hurriedly. Are you Xiaoqun? You are? Xiaoqun thought he called the wrong number. He didn't expect that the other party could call his name. He listened carefully. It seemed that the other party's voice was also familiar. Where did he hear it? I'm Lu Shuangshuang. I'm Kerlin's good friend. The one who sells binoculars. Did you forget? We met in Temple Street and in the toilet. Lu Shuangshuang quickly reminded him. Oh, it's you. What's the matter? Xiao Qin knew the other party's identity, so he asked. Here's the thing. Can I ask you a favor? Lu Shuangshuang asked with some expectation. Tonight, do you have anything to do? Tonight? Nothing, but tell me what's the matter first. Xiao Qin was a little puzzled. He didn't understand why Lu Shuangshuang was looking for him. His current identity was Xiao Qin, not White Fox. What could she ask from him? This is the case. I have a classmate gathering. I want you to accompany me, said Lu Shuangshuang. What? Xiao Qin was a little stunned. Your classmate gathering. Why do you want me to go? I don't know those classmates of yours. Xiao Qin was a little dumbfounded at the moment. What is Lu Shuangshuang's logic? Is she familiar with me? Even if we are familiar, her classmate gathering has nothing to do with me, right? I want you to pretend to be my boyfriend and deceive someone. Lu Shuangshuang said, Is that okay? No, I don't have time. Xiao Qin refused directly. How could he have the time? It's really inexplicable. Just do me a favor. I know you haven't won over Kerlin yet. At most, I will help you put in a few good words in the future. How about it? Lu Shuangshuang suggested. That won't work. This has nothing to do with me. I'm not free. Xiao Qin refused flatly. Okay, you're turning your back on me? Last time I said that if I need your help in the future, don't refuse, and you agreed. Now you're not going to admit it? Lu Shuangshuang said with some anger. Did I agree? Xiao Qin was stunned. He didn't remember. Even if he agreed, it was just polite words. How could she take it seriously? However, Lu Shuangshuang obviously took it seriously. Xiao Qin was a little helpless. Then tell me, why do you want me to pretend to be your boyfriend? You're not that old now, right? Your classmates should also be in their 3rd year of high school. At this age, why do you have a boyfriend? No, I'm 1 year older than Kerlin. My classmates are all in their 1st year of high school. Now it's a junior high class reunion. The main thing is that there's a person I don't like who keeps chasing me. I have no choice but to tell him that I found a very rich and powerful boyfriend. He doesn't believe me, so I have to bring him to the reunion. Lu Shuangshuang explained. You also know that I'm selling binoculars every day. I'm so busy. How can I find time to find a boyfriend? Besides, my grandma is still sick. I have to go back and take care of her when I have time. If I get into such trouble, he will bother me all day long. I can only deal with him. After listening to Lu Shuangshuang say so much, Xiao Qin suddenly had a headache. It really was this kind of bullshit. However, he really didn't have anything to do at night. After thinking about it, it was just a little effort, so he agreed. Okay, then I'll help you once. However, I won't care in the future. Don't do it again and again. This time it's because of Ku'er. Chapter 424. Okay, it can't be endless. Lu Shuangshuang was overjoyed and quickly reminded him, then at 4 o'clock tonight, pick me up at the entrance of the Warrior Guild. Remember to drive your Land Rover. Xiao Qin muttered the word gold digger in his heart, but he still nodded and agreed, okay. Xiao Qin was a person who valued his promises. Since he might really promise to help Lu Shuangshuang in the future, he wouldn't decline. He originally wanted to go out, but now there was no need to go out. He would rest at home and go find Lu Shuangshuang at night. He went out and came back. Yi Xiaoya saw Xiao Qin drive out and come back. She was a little puzzled. She was fiddling with her flower bed. When she saw Xiao Qin park the car, she asked, Where did you go? Why are you back so soon? Nothing. I just went out for a walk, but it was boring, so I came back. I'm going to sleep. Xiao Qin greeted her and went back to the bedroom. Looking at Xiao Qin's lazy back, Yi Xiaoya frowned. This person, why is he like this? I've tried so hard to help him, but he's still sloppy. If only he could be like the White Fox. Unconsciously, Yi Xiaoya thought of the White Fox. During this period of time, it was impossible to say that Yi Xiaoya didn't have a good impression of the White Fox. A young man and a woman working together to do a mission, and they even took off their clothes and rested together. How could Yi Xiaoya not have any of those thoughts? However, Yi Xiaoya had to control herself. As one of the candidates for the demon sect Saintess, she was bound by the marriage contract from the moment she was chosen. She had no right to choose her love. Unless the next demon sect leader was born and the demon sect Saintess was born, her marriage contract would be automatically dissolved. Otherwise, not only would the demon sect not let her go, but the sect would not let her go either. This was also the reason why she was determined not to let the White Fox have dual cultivation with her during the day, As for Xiaoqin, Yi Xiaoya always had complicated feelings for him. She wanted to help him, but there were many things that she couldn't say out loud. She hoped that he could quickly gain the ability to protect himself. Otherwise, when that person came out of seclusion, things would become quite complicated. Shaking her head, Yi Xiaoya withdrew her thoughts and continued to play with the flowers and plants in the flower bed. Back in the room, Xiaoqin received an email on his mobile phone. It was from the same sender as last time. This made Xiaoqin slightly surprised, and he quickly opened the content of the email. It was this person who hinted at Qing Mingxiang's problem last time. The content of the email was as simple as the last time. Family gathering Chao Yuliang Qing Mingxiang's villa, get rid of you. However, although the content was brief, Xiaoqin understood it at a glance. The context was clearer than the previous time. It directly and clearly explained that there was a problem between Chao Yuliang and Qing Mingxiang, and they wanted to kill him. Although Xiaoqin was very puzzled about who this person was and why would he send such a text message to him. It was reasonable to say that this person should be a person who cared more about him, but why did he know so clearly about Chao Yuliang and Qing Mingxiang's matters? Xiaoqin knew one person who had this possibility, and that was the young Mississippi. She knew Chao Yuliang and was familiar with Qing Mingxiang. It was naturally not too difficult to know these situations. However, what Xiaoqin couldn't figure out was that the young miss didn't need to tell him in such a form. Wouldn't it be better if she told him directly? In the past, perhaps she was scrupulous about the relationship between him and the Qing family, so she couldn't say it openly. However, 2 days ago Xiaoqin had an open and honest talk with her. The young miss also promised to help, so there was no need to tell him in this form. If this person wasn't the young miss, who would it be? Who else could have been paying attention to this matter? Xiaoqin always felt that something was wrong. A thought flashed in his mind. He seemed to have thought of something, but it was very vague. Thinking of this, Xiaoqin directly sent a text message to the young miss. Menjing, how is the situation? What did you say about Chao Yuliang's matter? This text message was sent very obscurely. Even if Qing Menjing forgot to delete it, others wouldn't think that there was a problem if they saw it. Not long after the text message was sent, Xiaoqin heard the sound of someone coming down the stairs outside the door. Obviously the young miss came down. It could be seen that she was a very careful person. She didn't say it directly in the phone. Xiaoqin pushed open the door and walked out, just in time to see Qing Menjing in her pajamas. Her eyes were a little drowsy, but her cheeks were rosy, making her look exceptionally delicate. There was an indescribable charm to her as she stretched lazily. Perhaps only her husband would be qualified to appreciate such a scene in the future, but Xiaoqin had seen it now. Sometimes, Xiaoqin couldn't tell his position in the young Mississippi. Was she the hostess or the fiancée? If Xiaoqin had always been the good-for-nothing Xiaoqin, he probably wouldn't have so many thoughts now. After all, it was definitely impossible between him and the young Mississippi. But now, his strength couldn't be said to be the best in the world, but at least in Songning City. After Qing Zhongming's previous hint, Xiaoqin's thoughts about Qing Menjing became active again. Xiaoqin didn't know what was wrong with him. He obviously had Xinjingshen and Tang Tang, but he still had thoughts about Qing Menjing. This was not his previous character at all. At that time he was only crazy about Xinjingshen. He didn't even have other thoughts about Kerlin. What are you looking at? Qing Menjing found that Xiaoqin's eyes were staring at her, and she felt a little uncomfortable. Now you know that I'm beautiful, right? But it's too late. Your engagement has been broken off. What were you doing earlier? It's not too late now. At least I can see you every day. Xiaoqin laughed. I don't want to talk about this with you. Qing Menjing glared at Xiaoqin and said, I was in a daze and fell asleep with Bei Bei, so I forgot to tell you. Bei Bei followed Chao Yuliang here yesterday and found that he entered Qing Mingxiang's villa. As for what they talked about, Bei Bei had no way of knowing, but your previous guess is really possible. Sure enough. If Xiaoqin didn't particularly believe the anonymous email, then he had to believe what Qing Menjing said to him. Sure enough, there was something wrong with Qing Mingxiang. In this way things became complicated. How much was the Qing family involved? Did Qing Zhongming know? But Xiaoqin felt that Qing Zhongming shouldn't know. He was on his side, so the Qing family was left with Old Master Qing and Qing Zhongfan. Among these two, Qing Zhongfan must have something wrong. Whether there was something wrong with Old Master Qing, it was still unknown for the time being. But these were not important. It was easy to deal with the target. With Xiaoqin's current strength, it was not enough to crush the Qing family. The strength of Old Master Qing was said to be unfathomable. No one had seen him show his strength in recent years. Xiao Chen was confident in dealing with Cheng Mingqiang and Cheng Zhongfan, but he didn't know if old Master Cheng would jump out. If he was the behind-the-scenes mastermind, then if Xiao Chen killed Cheng Mingqiang and Cheng Zhongfan in advance, it would only alert the enemy. Looking at Xiao Chen's uncertain expression, Cheng Minjing asked with some concern, "Xiao Chen, are you going to find someone to deal with Cheng Mingqiang?" "Not for the time being. Let's wait and see." Xiao Chen sighed. He finally confronted the Cheng family. This wasn't the situation he wanted to see. After all, that was the Mrs. home. "You protect yourself. When I'm here I can help you. When I'm not here you can only rely on yourself." Cheng Minjing said, "If you want to do something, just do it. Don't worry about my feelings. If one day, if I find out that the behind-the-scenes mastermind is your grandfather, and I confront your grandfather, will you hate me?" Xiao Chen hesitated and asked. Cheng Minjing lowered her head. After a while she raised her head and said, "Don't joke around. How can my grandfather deal with you? He shouldn't do this." "What?" Xiao Chen was slightly surprised. "You don't understand my grandfather's character. Although he is headstrong and very self-centered, he is not good at scheming. If he wants to deal with you, he will say it. The Cheng family wants to deal with you. In the beginning, if he really wanted you to die, he would have forced you to die directly. He wouldn't use these conspiracies behind the scenes. He even let Xiao Yuliang jump out to be the vanguard." Cheng Minjing said. Xiao Chen nodded. It seemed that what Cheng Minjing said made some sense. Old Master Cheng's character should be like this. As the first aristocratic family in Songning, he had the capital to be strong and arrogant. There was no need for any conspiracies. It was also possible to use Cheng Zhongqian's matter as an opportunity to make him pay with his life, but he didn't do so. Instead, he used so many complicated means, which proved that this wasn't his original intention. In that case, it should be Cheng Zhongfan and Cheng Mingqiang's problem. Xiao Chen said, "Actually, what I want to say is, one day if I get rid of these people, will you be sad?" "Originally, I will." Cheng Minjing pursed her lips, "But, during that car race Xiao Yuliang wanted to get rid of me too. Why should I be sad for them? I don't believe that it was Xiao Yuliang's idea. As for that Li Shanpao, there was no conflict of interest between us. He didn't want to kill me." "I'm relieved to hear that." Xiao Chen smiled, "Thank you for supporting your fiancé. When I return to the Xiao family, I will treat you as a hero and enshrine you in the Xiao family's ancestral hall." "Go to hell. Are you cursing me to die early?" Cheng Minjing kicked Xiao Chen. "Also, what is the relationship between me and your Xiao family? Whose fiancé are you? You still want to get rid of others. You should be careful first. Don't get yourself killed." Chapter 425. Hee. Xiao Chen smiled. "I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going upstairs to sleep." Cheng Minjing said and went upstairs. "By the way, I'm going out tonight. I'll prepare the meal before I leave." Xiao Chen said to Cheng Minjing. "But don't run around if you have nothing to do. If you're killed by someone, I'll be scolded as a bad husband." Cheng Minjing said and disappeared at the end of the stairs. Back in the room, Xiao Chen repeatedly looked at the two emails. He was a little puzzled. These two emails were definitely not sent by Miss Xiao. When the first email was sent, Miss Xiao didn't know about it. But who else could it be other than her? Could it be Yu Xiaochuan? That's not right. He only knew about my identity as White Fox on Tang Tang's wedding night. He had no reason to please Xiao Chen's identity before. This made Xiao Chen a little puzzled, but he couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. He could only give up for the time being. At the same time, in the Xiao family in Songning, today was a joyous day for the Xiao family. For the Xiao family, this was a very historic day because the Xiao family's products were introduced to the world. Today, the Sun family brought two foreign businessmen and was ready to sign a contract with the Xiao family. In this way, the Xiao family's business would grow bigger and bigger. On Xiao Yuanshan's face there was also a warm smile. After all, the overall situation of the Xiao family was getting better and better, and Xiao Chen's return to the Xiao family was inevitable. Although he was deeply poisoned, he was still very pleased to see the Xiao family flourishing day by day. After all, when the Xiao family's business strength improved and Xiao Chen returned to the Xiao family, even if the Xiao family couldn't keep the top 4 of the aristocratic families, they could still keep the bottom 5. At that time, because of the marriage between Xiao Xiao and Cheng Mingqiang, the Cheng family would have to take care of them. In this way, even if Xiao Yuanshan were to die, he could be at ease. After all, he didn't have much time left. The poison in his body was getting more and more complicated, and he couldn't hold on for much longer. In the past, the Xiao family's main business was sales agents. They owned a chain of pharmacies and several chains of supermarkets, all of which purchased and sold goods. This kind of sales agent business was limited to one city, so it was impossible to make much profit. For ordinary people this was probably a lot, but for aristocratic families, it was really nothing. The expenditure of aristocratic families was quite large. Those precious herbs, medicinal liquids, and pills used for cultivation were all sky-high prices. In the past, the Xiao family only managed to make ends meet, but it was just enough and even a little tight. But now, with the integration of all the Sun family's channels and business, those retail stores were all taken out and converted into funds. They started to specialize in the herb business, and these two were Japan's herb distributors. Once this contract was signed, the Xiao family would mainly help this foreign businessman to purchase herbs and sell them directly. They wouldn't have to spend so much effort to find another buyer. In the future there wouldn't be a problem at all. Medicine Master Sun, we've really troubled you this time. Xiao Hai rubbed his hands and said excitedly, the scale of the Xiao family's business can't go unnoticed because of your Sun family. Ah, Mr. Xiao, you're too kind. When our Sun family was in danger and in dire straits, it was your Xiao family who cooperated with us. Now that our Sun family has regained our footing, it's also because of the Xiao family. Medicine Master Sun smiled and said, our Sun family doesn't covet too much profit. We're already very happy to be able to make a living under the Xiao family's protection. Medicine Master Sun, don't worry. With the Xiao family around, the Sun family will definitely not suffer a loss. Xiao Hai patted Medicine Master Sun's shoulder gratefully. He was an honest person and didn't know how to speak, but his face was full of gratitude. Medicine Master Sun, the two foreign businessmen are here. At this time, Sun Yuming walked in and said to Medicine Master Sun and Xiao Hai, okay, Medicine Master Sun, let's go welcome them together. Xiao Hai and Medicine Master Sun walked to the door together. At this time, two Japanese people walked in, and behind them were two beautiful female bodyguards in black. Mr. Xiao, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Maeda, the purchasing manager of the Golden Island Herb Sales Group. Beside him is his assistant, Mr. Fui. Medicine Master Sun introduced them to Xiao Hai. Mr. Maeda, Mr. Fui, nice to meet you. Xiao Hai warmly went over to shake their hands. All the business of the Xiao family was handled by Medicine Master Sun and Sun Yuming, including the negotiations with foreign businessmen. Xiao Hai was only the chairman in name. After all, he wasn't good at business at all. The few chain pharmacies and supermarkets in the past had made him dizzy. Now that the business had expanded overseas, he didn't have the energy and brain to support it. Therefore he could only give full authority to Medicine Master Sun and Sun Yuming. Fortunately, these two people were very obedient and would report to him about all the big and small matters. He knew about the cooperation with the foreign businessmen before and had been negotiating. Finally, they reached an agreement according to the conditions that both sides could accept, so he came to sign the contract officially today. Mr. Xiao, I've heard a lot about you. The two people in your company are really amazing. They made us have no choice but to give in again and again. Lu Shuangshuang said, I haven't been there before, but it's not far from Songning City. It's already out of the city? It's not far. Why didn't you say so earlier? Xiao Chen was a little speechless. He thought that attending a reunion would only take one night. In this way he would probably have to stay there for the night. Xiao Chen couldn't dual cultivate with Yi Xiaoye again. It was really F***ket up. Isn't the reunion usually going to the resort to play? Lu Shuangshuang said weakly. Forget it. Since Xiao Chen had already promised, it wasn't good to go back on his words. He started the car directly and sped toward Jiduan City. Just as he came out from the warrior guild, he could directly go to the highway around the city. When we get there you just say that you are my boyfriend. Don't be exposed. Lu Shuangshuang reminded. Alright, I don't talk much anyway. Just say it. Xiao Chen nodded and agreed. That's good, but you have to cooperate. Lu Shuangshuang said, you have to brag about how rich you are or something. I don't have money. Xiao Chen said, I'm just a poor bastard. You drive such a good car when you are poor? Lu Shuangshuang obviously didn't believe it. This car's license isn't mine. I'm just a driver, said Xiao Chen. If you don't believe it, you can see for yourself. Xiaochen was afraid that Lu Shuangshuang would pester him endlessly and always ask him for help, so he simply threw the car's license to Lu Shuangshuang. Li Shaning? Who is this person? Lu Shuangshuang glanced at it. It really wasn't Xiaochen's name. She was a little disappointed, but she said, "Can't you brag?" "You help me brag," said Xiaochen. "All right." Lu Shuangshuang suddenly felt that Xiaochen was very boring. He didn't cooperate with her at all. She complained, "Can't you help me to the end?" "Lu Shuangshuang, your way of thinking is wrong. If you don't have money, then you don't have money. Why do you have to brag that you are rich? Do you think it is glorious to be a sugar daddy?" Xiaochen didn't understand Lu Shuangshuang's way of thinking. "Yes." Lu Shuangshuang nodded and said. Xiaochen was speechless. "Just pretend that I didn't say anything. I will cooperate with you." Chapter 426. Xiaochen used to be a pretentious person. He always brought Qin Jinpeng and Zhu Yingxiong to school to show off. Therefore it was not difficult for him to show off. He just did not want to be a busybody now. However, Lu Shuangshuang was right. Since he was here, he should help her to the end. Anyway, it was just this once. Xiaochen would not come again in the future unless he had nothing better to do. Really? That's great. Lu Shuangshuang was elated. When the time comes, you have to act more intimate with me. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Don't worry. I'm taking advantage of you. Isn't that right? Xiaochen was really annoyed by Lu Shuangshuang. He casually touched her thigh. Lu Shuangshuang's face turned red. Her breathing quickened, and her expression became unnatural. However, she did not avoid it. She only nodded. "Yes, that's right. How about this?" Xiaochen sneered. He touched the middle of her thigh and pressed it a few times. Lu Shuangshuang shivered. She subconsciously clamped her thighs together. She exclaimed, "What are you doing? Didn't you ask me to be intimate?" Xiaochen said. "You think I can't deal with you? If I don't teach you a lesson, you don't have many requests. Even if you hire an extra, it's not that troublesome, right? No. You don't have to be so intimate." Lu Shuangshuang stared at Xiaochen and stammered. She was furious. Lin really misjudged him. This Xiaochen was a pervert. He pretended to be serious on the surface, but in fact he was actually so perverted. If it wasn't for, I don't have a choice. Why would I bring him here at the last minute? Xiaochen pulled his hand back. He did not expect Lu Shuangshuang to subconsciously clamp her thighs together. He could not help but be amused. You say you don't want to use it, but you actually do. Otherwise, why would you clamp it so tightly? As he said that, Xiaochen used his finger to press it a few more times. Ah. Lu Shuangshuang hurriedly spread her legs apart and moved Xiaochen's hand away while panting. She said, "Are you doing this to Lin? You asked for it." Xiaochen said indifferently, "What's more, Lin Ke isn't my girlfriend, so why should I be sorry? You were the one who misunderstood. Did she not explain it to you? Are you really not her boyfriend?" Lu Shuangshuang took a deep breath and closed her legs again. Then, she shifted her body to the side, not giving Xiaochen a chance to take advantage of her. "No." Xiaochen said, "If you can accept it, then it's the level of intimacy just now. If you can't accept it, then you can do it yourself." Okay. Lu Shuangshuang gritted her teeth. This time it was Xiaochen's turn to be surprised. Even if she went to show the suitor that she had a boyfriend, there was no need to do this, right? If it was normal, he wouldn't think it was fake, right? Even if he accompanied Shen Jingxian to go out and meet friends in the future, there was no need to always show affection to Shen Jingxian, right? Therefore, Xiaochen didn't understand what Lu Shuangshuang was thinking and why she did this. Xiaochen was really speechless. Since Lu Shuangshuang felt that there was no problem, then he couldn't say anything more. It was as if he had to take advantage of Lu Shuangshuang. In fact, that was not the case. Xiaochen wanted to teach her a lesson. To be honest, Xiaochen didn't like those gold diggers. With his previous identity as the young master of the Xiao family, even if he was a loser, countless beautiful women would flock to him with a wave of his hand. Those women were only interested in his money. As long as he gave them money, they would do it. However, Xiaochen had no interest in this kind of woman at all. Never mind that he was infatuated with Shen Jingxian at that time. Even if he wasn't infatuated with Shen Jingxian, he wouldn't have any interaction with those women. In contrast, Lin was more simple. She wouldn't do things that violated her dignity because of money. This Lu Shuangshuang was her friend, but her character was not the same as Lin's. If it weren't for Xiao Chen's promise to her, she would have turned around and left at this moment. Well, anyway, it's only once. I will do whatever you say. Xiao Chen said faintly. Okay. Just once is fine. Lu Shuangshuang nodded happily. The car rushed all the way and finally came to the Immortal Resort in Jiduan City. This Jiduan City was a tourist city. It was adjacent to the edge of several cities and was surrounded by them. Because of its special geographical location and beautiful scenery, there were many people who held class reunions and company meetings here. Xiao Chen parked the car in the parking lot of the Immortal Resort. Then he got off with Lu Shuangshuang and walked to the place where her classmates signed in. Although there were more rich people here, Xiao Chen's top-of-the-line Land Rover was considered a real luxury car here. It was just that Lu Shuangshuang didn't have a chance to show off. The car was in the parking lot, and her classmates couldn't see it. Originally, Xiao Chen thought that Lu Shuangshuang would let him drive the car directly to the place to sign in to show off and then stop back. However, Lu Shuangshuang didn't mention it, which made Xiao Chen somewhat surprised. Could it be that this gold-digging girl forgot? However, it was better if she didn't mention it. Xiao Chen was too lazy to bother. He wouldn't look for trouble for himself. Lu Shuangshuang studied at Shijing Middle School in Songning City. The two walked to the front of a standalone resort building. They saw a line of flashing text on the electronic LED screen in front of the resort building. Shijing Middle School Grade 4 Class 9 Class Reunion. You have been in junior high school for 4 years? Are you repeating a year? Xiao Chen asked as he looked at the text on the screen. You are the one who is repeating a year. Lu Shuangshuang glanced at Xiao Chen. I am a 54-1 system. Ignorant and ill-informed. Xiao Chen was a little dumbfounded. This Lu Shuangshuang still dares to talk back to me? Isn't it time to beg me to come? Seeing Xiao Chen's eyes, Lu Shuangshuang immediately felt that something was wrong. It seemed that her words were a little harsh. She quickly stuck out her tongue and said carefully, I'm sorry. I'm used to talking to my friends. I won't talk to you next time, forget it. I'm not a glass-hearted person. Xiao Chen shook his head. You are Kerlin's friend. I also consider you as a friend. But you should understand that we can only be regarded as ordinary friends. It's okay to joke around, but this is the last time you come to help. I understand. Don't worry. As long as it's done today, I won't trouble you anymore. Lu Shuangshuang said quickly. Xiao Chen nodded and walked into the lobby on the first floor of the resort with Lu Shuangshuang. In the lobby there was a check-in table. There were 2 people sitting behind it and there were many people standing next to them. Obviously, they were Lu Shuangshuang's classmates or boyfriend or girlfriend of her classmates. Lu Shuangshuang. A girl waved at Lu Shuangshuang. Li Xiener. Lu Shuangshuang saw the girl and nodded to her. She smiled and walked over. Long time no see. I haven't seen you for years. Did you miss me? Shuangshuang, I heard that you found a rich boyfriend? Is that him? As soon as Li Xiener opened her mouth, she led the topic to Xiao Chen. Lu Shuangshuang was slightly stunned. Yes, this is my boyfriend Xiao Chen. His family is very powerful. They do business overseas. Lu Shuangshuang said casually. She had no idea what Xiao Chen's family did. Really? Li Xiener smiled in disbelief. Then she waved at a guy not far away. Dajuan, let me introduce you to a good friend. The boy was about 1.75 meters tall. He wasn't tall, but he was wearing famous brands. His trench coat was from Burberry, his leather shoes and belt were from LV, and he was wearing a jade ring on his finger. It was obvious that it was expensive. Xiener, who are you going to introduce to me? The guy named Dajuan walked over in a flashy manner. He put his arm around Li Xiener's shoulder and asked. This is my good friend from junior high, Lu Shuangshuang. Now, she isn't in university. She's mingling in the underworld. Li Xiener said to Dajuan, this is her boyfriend. His family does export trade. Oh. Dajuan looked at Xiao Chen and then looked at Lu Shuangshuang. His eyes suddenly lit up. He coughed twice and said to Xiao Chen, how do I address you, little brother? Is your family doing export trade? Coincidentally, my family is also doing trade. Xiao Chen. It's just a small business. It's not presentable, Xiao Chen said faintly. Xiao Chen didn't lie to him. He was the only one in his family now. He sold breakfast at the morning market street. Of course it was a small business. This is my name card. I'm from the Xie family in the provincial capital. If you want to expand your business you can find me. Dajuan glanced at Lu Shuangshuang lecherously, then he handed a name card to Xiao Chen. Li Xianer naturally saw Dajuan's intentions. She followed Dajuan and knew him very well. This Dajuan liked to have threesomes with familiar people such as Li Xianer's classmates, friends and even cousins. A few of them had been dragged down by her. This was also the reason why Dajuan didn't abandon Li Xianer. Li Xianer knew him well and she often helped him drag people to have threesomes. This Lu Shuangshuang was naturally specially introduced to Dajuan by Li Xianer. Li Xianer was actually used to having a boyfriend. He was from the Xia family in the provincial capital. Although he was a collateral relative, he was still a super rich young master. Li Xianer was already very lucky to be able to get close to him. I can't find it. Xiaoqin threw the name card into his pocket. My business is too small. It can't be found. Haha brother, don't say that. Haven't you heard of a saying? The more daring a person is, the more productive he is. Dajuan patted Xiaoqin's shoulder earnestly. Oh. Xiaoqin nodded casually and didn't bother with him anymore. Lu Shuangshuang also noticed that this Li Xianer had completely changed. She was completely different from when she was in school. She suddenly lost interest and said to Li Xianer, Xiaoqin's family is very rich. He doesn't need to get close to the Xia family. What is the Xia family? It's nothing compared to Xiaoqin's family. Lu Shuangshuang's voice was very loud. The students next to her all heard it. Dajuan and Li Xianer were stunned at first, then they laughed out loud. Chapter 427. May I ask what family you are from? Your business is actually bigger than the Xia family in the provincial capital? Kid, do you dare to say the name of your family? Do you believe that I can make your family lose its foothold in the province with just one phone call? Dajuan looked at Xiaoqin coldly. Lu Shuangshuang was slightly stunned. Looking at the strange expressions of the students around her, she realized that she seemed to have gotten into trouble. She was shocked. The Xia family in the provincial capital? Could it be the Xia family that supplied goods to the warriors' market? That was a truly monstrous existence. Previously, Lu Shuangshuang did not think about it at all. After all, the warriors' market and ordinary business families were on two different levels. There was no overlap. How could the boyfriend of one of her classmates be from a martial arts family? But now, listening to his tone, it seemed to be the case. Xiaoqin didn't blame Lu Shuangshuang. When he saw her nervous face, he knew that she was already regretting it. Those who didn't know better couldn't be blamed. What annoyed Xiaoqin was that he had never seen this army before, yet they claimed to be from the provincial capital Xia clan. Even Xia Huang of the Xia family did not dare to make a fuss in front of him. Even the head of the family, Xia Chaonan, did not dare to disrespect him. There is no need to tell you. My name is Xiaoqin. If you have the ability, you can ask the Xia family to kill me. Xiaoqin said lightly, why don't we each make a phone call? I can ask the Xia family to kick you out of the family, provided that you are from the Xia family. Ah. Dajuan could not help but laugh wildly. Kick me out of the family? His cousin was Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin was a core disciple of the Xia family. In the company he was very valued by Xiaoqin. He even handed over some of the more lucrative jobs to him. So, of course he did not believe that a word from Xiaoqin could kick him out of the Xiao family. That was not realistic. If you don't believe me, then make a phone call. Xiaoqin shrugged indifferently. More and more people came to watch the show. Suddenly there was a commotion in the crowd. A man with a large build and a round waist walked over with a follower. When he looked closely, he was suddenly happy. Lu Shuangshuang, you are here? What happened here? Did you have a conflict with someone? I will stand up for you. Tell me who provoked Shuangshuang. Chuxiong Shuangshuang already has a boyfriend and her boyfriend is very powerful. With a wave of his hand he can drive my husband out of the family. He's really a ruthless person in our class. You're just a commoner, don't get involved. Li Xianer said coldly. You. Fat Bear naturally knew that Li Xianer's boyfriend, Xia Kenjun, was from the Xia family in the provincial capital. He also knew that although he was doing well in the marketplace, it was impossible for him to compete with the Xia family. Only his master could challenge them. However, just because he didn't dare to go against the Xia family didn't mean that he didn't dare to go against Xiaoqin. Although Li Xianer described how powerful Lu Shuangshuang's boyfriend was, he wasn't an idiot. He could hear the mockery and fear in her voice. Humph, Lu Shuangshuang, is this your boyfriend? Fat Bear had suffered a setback at Li Xianer's hands, so he was filled with anger. He turned to look at Xiaoqin and shouted angrily, look at you. You're just a piece of trash. Make a phone call and I'll see if you can drive Xia Kenjun out of the Xia family. If you can, then you're amazing. If you can't, then leave Lu Shuang as soon as possible. We don't want the goddess of our class to be with a big liar who only knows how to brag. After Xie Kenjun heard this, his face changed slightly. He did not expect that although Fat Bear looked a little stupid, his IQ was not stupid at all. He wanted to lead the conflict between Fat Bear and Xiao Qin so that he could sit back and watch. Speaking of which, regardless of whether it was Xiao Qin saying that he would chase him out of the Xie family with a phone call or that he would make Xiao Qin's family lose their footing with a phone call, he felt that these were just ruthless words meant to infuriate him. It was impossible for them to be realized. Not to mention him, even Xie Qin could not propose to deal with a family. Why would the Xie family listen to them? What the Xie family needed was to make money, not to fight with other families. If they always fought with other families, then the Xie family would not have developed to where it was now. Therefore, when he saw Fat Bear, he directly led the trouble to him. He did not expect Fat Bear to come back. Hee, you wanna see? Xiao Qin remembered the purpose of this trip. Lu Shuang wanted to show him to Fat Bear and make him give up. Therefore, how could Xiao Qin refuse such a way to kill two birds with one stone? He immediately took out his phone and walked to a corner where there was no one. Why are you sneaking on the phone? Why don't you call in front of us? As soon as he saw Xiao Qin's action, Fat Bear immediately understood. This Xiao Qin most likely did not have any power. He pretended to run to the side to make a phone call. When the time came, he could call a random number and find an excuse to avoid it. At this moment, Xie Kanjuan's eyes were also filled with mockery. It seemed that Xiao Qin really didn't have any capabilities. He was just putting on an act and wasn't a threat at all. Xie Kanjuan's previous worries were groundless. Xie Huang, is there a person named Xie Kenjun in your family? Xiao Qin dialed Xie Huang's phone number and asked directly. There is one White Fox hero. What's wrong? Why are you suddenly asking this question? Xie Huang asked with some confusion. It's good that there is. This person offended my underling. Tell him to get lost. If he doesn't, I will personally make him disappear from the earth. Xiao Qin said directly, not hiding the threat in his words. Yes. I will do it immediately. Xie Qin was shocked and quickly nodded. How can I let White Fox Hero do it yourself? Don't worry. I can do it myself. Give me a minute. Okay. Xiao Qin hung up the phone directly. Xie Huang didn't have Xie Kanjuan's phone number. This person was just a distant relative of the Xie family. He had no direct contact with Xie Huang. The reason why he knew was that Xie Qin recommended this person to him, saying that he was an employee of the company. Xie Qin? You immediately tell the person named Xie Kenjun to get lost. In the future, our Xie family doesn't need him. Xie Huang directly called Xie Qin and ordered. Brother, what do you mean? What? This person is not bad. He is very dedicated. Xie Qin was taken aback. He didn't know what was going on. Xie Kenjun was his confidant and often bought goods with high rebates. Most of the rebates were given to him. Xie Qin had made a fortune in the past few years. How could he chase away such a useful person? He offended White Fox Hero's underling, so White Fox Hero wants him to leave. Do you understand? Xie Huang said coldly. Xie Qin was stunned. He was a little puzzled. He just offended White Fox Hero's underling, and he wants to kick my relative out of the family. Is this fair? Why do I feel that our Xie family is too weak? It shouldn't be like this. Alright, listen to me. Don't ask so much. Xie Huang directly made the final decision. He didn't give Xie Qin a chance to refute and hung up the phone. Wait, brother. Seeing that the phone had been hung up, Xie Qin clenched the phone in his hand and smashed it on the ground. The large-screen iPhone was instantly smashed, but he didn't feel bad. He stepped on it twice to vent his anger. Damn White Fox Hero, just you wait. I will deal with you sooner or later. However, even though he was scolding him, he still changed his phone number and called Xie Kenjun. President Xie. Seeing that it was Xie Qin calling him, Xie Kenjun was stunned, and then he immediately picked up the phone respectfully. He originally wanted to call Xie Qin to see if he could use business means to deal with Xiao Qin's family, but he was too embarrassed to take the initiative. He didn't expect Xie Qin to take the initiative to call him. He was ready to wait for the opportunity to talk to him. However, Xie Qin was very angry and roared, Xie Kenjun, did you provoke someone? Now you are fired. You should leave the company first. Xie Kenjun was stunned all of a sudden. He didn't know what to do. He held the phone and his mind was blank. What's going on? Why would Xie Qin say this? Could it be that Xiao Qin is so capable? Can it really be settled with a phone call? He said with some uncertainty, President Xia, don't joke. I'm attending a class reunion. Are you kidding? You must leave. This is an order from my brother, Emperor Xia. You know, in the Xia family no one can refute his words. You should leave first. When there is a chance, I will see if I can make you come back to do something. Xia Qin was a little annoyed and said, I must leave now. Don't say any more. You are a prodigal. Why did you provoke someone for no reason? I didn't provoke anyone. Over here that kid called Xiaoqin looks like a pauper. I didn't think he would be so powerful to be able to establish a relationship with young Master Xia. Xia Kanjuan's heart sank. He knew he was done for. Xiaoqin? The person you provoked is called Xiaoqin? Xia Qin was slightly taken aback. He knew this name because... However, after he confirmed this name, he immediately laughed coldly and said, All right, I got it. This Xiaoqin's family is almost finished. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to get you back. But for now, you'd better calm down for me. This person is not important. It's his boss who called my brother. Yes. Xia Kenjun was overjoyed and quickly said yes. He hung up the phone and Xiaoqin also came back. However, Xia Kanjuan's submissive appearance on the phone was seen by everyone and Fat Bear. Everyone could guess some of it. They suddenly knew that Xiaoqin's phone call was really effective. How is it, Xia Kenjun? Did your master call you to get lost? Xiaoqin looked at Xia Kenjun and asked with a faint smile. You. Xia Kanjuan's face was a little pale. He really didn't expect to cause such trouble today. Chapter 428. Lu Shuangshuang was a little shocked. She did not expect Xiaoqin to be able to settle the Xia family with just a phone call. This really surprised her. After all, she knew what kind of family the Xia family was. She stayed in the warrior guild and the warrior market all day long. However, what kind of power did Xiaoqin have to make the Xia family make such a decision? She looked at Xiaoqin and suddenly felt that Xiaoqin seemed to be quite powerful. Xiaoqin, don't be too proud. Our president Xia said that your family is about to be finished. He will deal with you when the time comes. Although I was kicked out of the family, it is only temporary. Xia Kanjuan's face was a little ugly. He could not help but say what Xia Qin said previously. You just called the Xia family through your boss. Do you really think that you are capable? Others did not understand what this meant, but Lu Shuangshuang understood. Wasn't Xiaoqin's boss the White Fox hero? That day on Temple Street, wasn't it Xiaoqin who called the White Fox hero? So that was it. Lu Shuangshuang suddenly understood. However, others did not understand, especially Fat Bear. He was a little afraid of Xiaoqin at first, but when he heard that Xiaoqin asked his boss for help, he immediately did not care. His boss was also a powerful person. Everyone was at the level of a little brother. Why should he be afraid of him? The Xia family was a business family. Your boss called to give you face, but I'm from the underworld. It's not that easy to get me to leave. Moreover, he thought that he had a good relationship with his boss. Xia Kanjuan's beating around the bush couldn't be compared to him. Could be said that he was equivalent to the role of Xia Qin. In other words, he could directly talk to the young master of the Xia family. So, Fat Bear rolled his eyes and said, Ha, Xia Kenjun, what's wrong? It is true that you have a backer, but your backer is not very useful. It is not as reliable as mine. Xia Kenjun snorted coldly. How could he not hear Fat Bear's contempt? However, now that he had temporarily lost the support of the Xia family, he could not say anything more. He pulled Li Xianer and turned to leave. Wait. Xia Kenjun was about to leave, but he was stopped by Xiaoqin. What else do you want? Xia Kenjun asked angrily. You kicked me out of the Xia family, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of you. Who is Manager Xia? Xiaoqin? Did he tell you that our Xiao family is doomed? Xiaoqin frowned and asked Xia Kenjun. How would I know? He didn't say that I would curse you. Xia Kenjun was not stupid. He immediately realized that he had said something wrong and quickly denied it. Really? Xiaoqin didn't ask any more. He was now basically sure that this President Xia was Xia Qin, and Xia Qin actually said that the Xiao family was going to be finished. What did this mean? Did he know something or did he see something? Or could there be other reasons? But this Xia Kenjun definitely didn't know anything. It was useless for Xiaoqin to ask him, so he could only pay attention to it himself. Since he left the Xiao family, he hadn't paid attention to the news of the Xiao family for a long time. Xiaoqin had been paying attention to the Xiao family, the Tang family, the Yu family and so on, but he ignored his own family. In the past, Xiaoqin had inexplicable hatred for the Xiao family. He didn't understand why the Xiao family wanted to kick him out. But now, since the last meal with his uncle Xiao Hai, Xiao Chen also understood their difficulties. Especially after coming into contact with the other great clans a few times, Xiao Chen deeply understood their difficulties. Could it be that something happened to the Xiao family recently? However, in the Xiao family only Xiao Chen was in the same generation as Xiao Xiao. Now that Xiao Xiao and Cheng Mingqiang were together, Xiao Chen had nothing to say to her. It didn't seem very good to ask his uncle Xiao Hai directly. After all, he had never paid attention to the Xiao family before. If he suddenly asked, Xiao Hai would inevitably feel strange. Moreover, it was not good for Xiao Chen to contact Xiao Hai directly. Although he wasn't afraid of the Cheng family, he still had to keep a low profile in order not to alert the enemy. Watching Xie Kenjun leave with his tail between his legs, Fat Bear sneered. You want to compete with me? You were sent away before my brother could do anything. That saved me a lot of trouble. Turning to look at Lu Shuangshuang, Fat Bear said, Lu Shuangshuang, what do you think? 50,000 a month, that's not a low price. It's enough for me to hire a young model. I'm giving you this price because you're my first love. Otherwise, do you think you're worth this price? Xiao Chen was a little amused by Fat Bear's actions. Even if he was Lu Shuangshuang's temporary bodyguard, a fake boyfriend, Fat Bear didn't know. This brat was trying to poach Lu Shuangshuang right in front of him. He was simply looking down on him. Shuangshuang, is this person sick? Xiao Chen pointed to Fat Bear and asked Lu Shuangshuang with a puzzled face. Well, maybe a little. Lu Shuangshuang knew how powerful Xiao Chen was, so she was not afraid of getting into trouble. She nodded and said, Well boy, are you pretending? Don't think that you can deal with me just because you can deal with Xie Kenjun. Don't think that you can deal with me just because you can deal with Xie Kenjun. Let me tell you, I'm different from him. I'm a street person. Do you have the ability to drive me out of the family? Sorry, I'm alone. I don't have a family. Fat Bear said disdainfully, You are from Songning, right? Although you know some people, let me tell you, it's useless. If you get angry, I will destroy you. You can ask around in the underworld of Songning City. What is my name? If I kill you, I will have a younger brother to take the blame for me. Oh, I don't need to find someone to take the blame even if I kill you, Xiao Chen said faintly after listening. Hey boy, you have guts. I don't know if you still have guts after returning to Songning City. You don't know who controls the underworld of Songning City, right? Fat Bear sneered. You mean your family? Asked Xiao Chen. Of course it's my boss. Tonight my boss will come to support us. I'm not afraid to tell you that my sister has recently followed my boss. Now, I'm a popular person around him. My words are quite powerful. If you don't want to die, then don't get involved. She's just a woman. There's no need to lose your life. Look at you, you don't dress very well. I guess you just know a few more people. You are just a child of a small family. You have to know your own weight. Fat Bear said to Xiao Chen earnestly. Then, if you have the ability, kill me. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. In many cases, the reunion would change after a certain period of time. It would become a place to show off one's sense of existence. Some people who were good at school might not be doing well now, and some people who were bad at school might be rich now. As for the goddesses who used to look down on them, as long as the right bargaining chips were given, they would throw themselves into the arms of the goddesses who once looked down on them. Xiao Chen didn't have such a strong feeling about the reunion before, but now he finally understood why there were always some good students who liked to initiate a reunion. It was because it was cool to pretend to be real in front of former classmates. Especially in front of the girls he liked in the past, it was even more so to show off his existence. Don't think that I'm talking nonsense. When my boss comes in a while, you will know that there are some levels that a child of a small family like you can't reach. Fat Bear snorted. Xiao Chen made an O sound. It was unknown whether he heard it or not. Seeing Xiao Chen's stubbornness, Fat Bear was a little annoyed. If it wasn't for the class reunion, he really wanted to teach this Xiao Chen a lesson and beat him until all his teeth fell to the ground. He wanted to let him know that there were some people that he absolutely could not provoke. But in front of so many classmates, and this reunion was initiated by him. If he hit someone, how would his classmates think of him? So even if he was very angry, he still held it in and didn't make a move. Fat Bear glanced at the door of the resort and didn't see any high-end cars. The cars were even the same as before. So, he rolled his eyes and said, Lu Shuangshuang, you came by taxi, right? If you want me to say it, you can call me and I will drive to pick you up. Do you see my car? The Land Rover Aurora at the door is this year's latest model. Just call me and I will pick you up. This off-road vehicle, I will drive to your shanty town as well. We drove here, said Lu Shuang. Drove? What car? Fat Bear was slightly stunned. He glanced at the door and didn't see any cars. He knew who the few cars outside belonged to. There was no one he didn't know. Land Rover, said Lu Shuang. Ah, it's also a Land Rover? But I'm the only one at the door? Fat Bear pretended to be confused, but his words were full of ridicule. Oh, it's a Land Rover Range Rover. I didn't drive it here. I left it in the parking lot, said Lu Shuang. Range Rover? Fat Bear suddenly laughed. Why didn't you drive it here? There is also a parking lot here. Why don't you drive your car here? It will be convenient to keep an eye on the car. Land Rover is such a high-end car. Don't let it get scratched. Oh, it's just a car. If it gets scratched, then so be it. I will buy another one after that, Xiaoqin said indifferently. Haha. Fat Bear was immediately amused. These two people were bragging to each other and it was really like that. It made him laugh. I don't even dare to say that I will buy another one after it gets scratched. Can you buy another one? Well, I haven't driven such a high-end car like Range Rover before. How about you drive it here and let me experience it? Let's talk about it when we leave. Xiaoqin was too lazy to be his driver. Drive it here and let him experience it? Wasn't there something wrong with his brain? At this time at the door of the resort, there was a car sound. An Audi Q7 stopped outside. When Fat Bear saw it, he couldn't care less about Xiaoqin and Lu Shuang. He immediately ran over and opened the door for the driver. He said flatteringly, Brother Ming, you are here. Chapter 429. And? The person who got out of the car nodded gently. He looked at Fat Bear proudly and said, If it weren't for you and Xiaoli, I wouldn't have come here to attend this class reunion. Can I live in such a low-class place? Yes. Fat Bear quickly agreed. Right, Brother Ming, there is a person in the house who is acting cool to me. He should be from a small family in Songning City. Can you go and teach him a lesson? Oh, a small family? Do I still need to show up? Brother Ming said faintly. He hugged a fair-looking girl who got out of the front passenger seat and walked into the door of the class reunion. Isn't this Xiao Lu? Xiaoqin looked up and saw Lu Jinming walking through the door. Then he said directly, Right, that Fat Bear next to you wants to see my car. I parked it in the parking lot. Go and drive it for me. Let him feel it. As Xiaoqin said this, he handed the car key to Lu Jinming. Lu Jinming looked at Xiaoqin in front of him with a little surprise. He didn't know why Xiaoqin would appear here. He even knew Fat Bear. What kind of connection did they have? However, he still shuddered subconsciously and hurriedly said, Boss Xiaoqin, why are you here too? Why drive? Why are you showing this dumb *SS? Ignore him. Oh, then forget it. Xiaoqin glanced at the girl in Lu Jinming's arms and said, Is she new? And she has been chasing me. I didn't agree before, but now, I agree. Lu Jinming had given up on Cheng Menjing, so he didn't have to hang on to a tree. Oh, this fat guy is her brother? He doesn't look like a dumb person. I wanted to beat him up, but since he is your relative I didn't, said Xiaoqin. Fat Bear's eyes were a little dull as he looked at Xiaoqin and Lu Jinming, who were talking and laughing wittily. What was going on? Lu Jinming actually called Xiaoqin boss Xiaoqin? He's Lu Jinming's boss? His own boss? In that case, wouldn't Xiaoqin's boss be? He felt a little dizzy. This Xiaoqin didn't seem to be a simple descendant of a small family. Could it be that he had been wrong all along? Fat Bear, what are you doing? This is boss Xiaoqin, my boss. His boss is the white fox hero who is famous in Songning, and also my boss's boss. Do you want to die? If you don't want to live anymore, just say it. Why are you looking at a car? What's there to look at? If you want to see it, go to the parking lot. Lu Jinming said angrily. Fat Bear's forehead was full of cold sweat. He didn't expect that this Xiaoqin actually had such a powerful background. He really didn't know what to say. Of course, the most dumbfounded person was Lu Shuang. Was the white fox hero so powerful? Just one of his underlings was already enough to scare people to death? Looking at Lu Jinming's appearance, Lu Shuang knew that this Fat Bear would definitely not pester her in the future. However, from the looks of it now, what Lin Ke said might be true. She and Xiaoqin were not in a relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend. He remembered that Lin Ke had once said that the person she liked was the white fox hero. In this way, Lu Shuang's guilt was reduced a lot. Otherwise, she would always have a kind of pressure as if she was the one who stole Kerlin's boyfriend. Although she didn't show it, she still felt a little awkward. But now, this feeling no longer existed. Xiaoqin and Kerlin didn't admit that there was a relationship between them. Now it seemed that there was only one possibility: there was really no relationship. Thinking of this, Lu Shuangshuang heaved a sigh of relief. In other words, no matter how intimate she was with Xiaoqin, no matter what illogical things they did, it would all be fine. She would not feel sorry for Lin Ke. This made the stone in her heart fall down. Otherwise, she really couldn't face Kerlin in the future. What she wanted to do today was something that couldn't be helped. Okay, little Lu, just say it. He likes my girlfriend, Lu Shuangshuang, but Lu Shuangshuang doesn't like him. You tell him not to pester her. Xiaoqin said. This was also a way to solve the problem once and for all, so that Lu Shuangshuang wouldn't endlessly pester him for help in the future. No, I won't pester him anymore. Without waiting for Lu Zhiming to speak, Fat Bear immediately said. He wasn't a fool. Obviously, his biggest backer was Lu Shuangshuang's underling. What else could he do? Lu Shuangshuang's classmates were watching the development of the situation not far away. Before Xie Kenjun left, they faintly felt that Lu Shuangshuang's boyfriend wasn't simple. Now it was even more so. They felt that Xiaoqin was even more powerful. Was Fat Bear powerful? But Xiaoqin could even control Lu Shuangshuang's boss. This kind of ability couldn't help but be admired. The expressions of those classmates who looked down on Lu Shuangshuang before changed. They thought that after Lu Shuangshuang dropped out of school, she was just a prostitute. How difficult would it be for a girl without any ability, background, or education to earn money to support her family in society? When Lu Shuangshuang was in school, her grades were average. Usually, she relied on street stalls to support her family. What achievements could such a person achieve in society? But unexpectedly, they really misjudged her. Lu Shuangshuang was really rich now. Regardless of whether her family was poor in the past, she definitely wouldn't be poor in the future. Shuangshuang, what's the name of your boyfriend's company? After I graduate from university, can I go there to work? There was a girl who had a good relationship with Lu Shuangshuang. At this moment, she started to think of ways to get closer to her. Yeah, Shuangshuang, I'm your backseat. Do you remember? Little Chong. A male voice called Little Chong also came over. Let's keep in touch in the future. When we were in school, you went out early and came back late to set up your stall. I even helped you copy your homework. Shuangshuang, I think our class needs a leader. You're doing the best now. In the future, you'll be the leader. When we have something to do, we'll help each other. Sister Shuangshuang is the big sister. Fat Bear immediately said. What are you doing? You only know how to do well. Lu Zhiming kicked him. After that, the class reunion completely turned into a session of flattery. A group of people desperately toasted Xiaoqin and Lu Shuangshuang. Of course, Xiaoqin and Lu Shuangshuang replaced it with drinks. They didn't drink any alcohol. But even so, no one said much. Lu Shuangshuang enjoyed the feeling of being the main character for the first time. The way she looked at Xiaoqin couldn't help but become very gentle. She kept pouring drinks for Xiaoqin. She became Xiaoqin's exclusive drink server. Xiaoqin was also a little helpless. Even if he didn't drink, drinking so many drinks would make his stomach a little uncomfortable. But there was no other way. Lu Shuangshuang's classmates were very enthusiastic. He had to deal with them for Lu Shuangshuang's sake. In his opinion, a good person would help to the end. In the future, Lu Shuangshuang wouldn't bother him anymore. This was also a good way to solve the problem once and for all. Honey, drink by yourself for a while. I'm going to the bathroom. Lu Shuangshuang touched her clothes pocket, then stood up and said to Xiaoqin. Do you want me to go with you? Asked Xiaoqin. No need. I'll be back soon. Thank you, my dear. Lu Shuangshuang suddenly stood up and wrapped her arms around Xiaoqin's neck. Then she kissed Xiaoqin's face. Xiaoqin was stunned. He didn't expect Lu Shuangshuang to kiss him in front of so many people. Is she drunk? That's not right. Isn't she drinking juice? Juice can also be drunk? When we were in the car, Lu Shuangshuang was very wary of me taking advantage of her. Why did she suddenly take the initiative? Did she really fall in love with me? Xiaoqin shook his head. Looking at Lu Shuangshuang, who had already left, he felt a little dizzy. He didn't believe that his charm was so great that she would fall in love with him after helping her to act cool. However, Xiaoqin suddenly felt a little drunk. His head was a little dizzy. Did I drink too much juice? I heard that there was a small amount of alcohol in the juice. If you drink too much, you will also get drunk. Thinking about how much juice I drank, it seems that it is really possible. Boss Xiaoqin, let's continue. Let me toast to you. Lu Zhiming raised his glass and said to Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin felt that these people were all alcohol battlefields, especially this Lu Zhiming. Sure enough, people in the underworld can drink. Chapter 430. Lu Shuangshuang locked the door of the bathroom before she dared to pee. Then she quickly pulled up her pants and left the bathroom. The old man just stood at the door and did not stop her. He let Lu Shuangshuang leave. When she was far away, he dashed into the bathroom that Lu Shuangshuang had used before. After a while he came out with a gloomy face. When Lu Shuangshuang returned to the table, her classmates were still toasting to Xiaoqin. After Lu Shuangshuang came back, she swayed and leaned on Xiaoqin. She said in a soft voice, "Honey, I'm a little dizzy. I'll lean on you for a while." Xiaoqin looked at Lu Shuangshuang, who seemed to be drunk. He was a little puzzled, but he had the same feeling. He could only attribute it to the fact that the drink was also fermented and contained a small amount of alcohol. If one drank too much, this would happen. He was a man and a cultivator, so the effect of alcohol was slightly weaker. However, Lu Shuangshuang was different. Perhaps because she was a girl, the effect of alcohol was stronger, and she was already beginning to feel dizzy. After drinking for a while, everyone saw that Lu Shuangshuang was drunk and had already leaned on Xiaoqin. So, Fat Bear immediately stood up and said, "Boss Xiaoqin and sister-in-law Shuangshuang have drunk too much. Let's call it a night, okay? We still have to climb the mountain tomorrow. Everyone go back and rest early. The room cards are at the door. Everyone go and get them later." After saying that, he took the initiative and gave Xiaoqin the best room among the room cards. In fact, the best room was just a king-sized bedroom with better decoration. In this old resort, it was impossible to get a presidential suite. At least, there was no such thing in this resort. When Xiaoqin saw that Fat Bear only gave him a room card, he felt a little helpless. However, he could not explain that his relationship with Lu Shuangshuang was actually fake, so he could only bite the bullet and take it. He looked at the room number, hugged the swaying Lu Shuangshuang, and walked out of the restaurant. Xiaoqin did not plan to take a stroll. He walked directly to the room. There was no elevator in this resort, only stairs. Xiaoqin helped Lu Shuangshuang up the stairs. However, he suddenly turned around halfway. Previously, he always had a feeling that he was being followed and monitored. It was not that he found anything, it was completely the spiritual awareness of a cultivator, but when he turned around he found nothing. He released his spiritual perception, but he was unable to sense anything. Could it be that it was the person who had taken pictures of him time and time again? Xiaoqin was puzzled. Why was this person following him? He actually followed them all the way from Songning City to Jiduan City? This person was really patient. However, it was also possible that Xiaoqin was a little dizzy, so he had an illusion. After confirming that there was no one, Xiaoqin didn't stay any longer. He quickly went upstairs and came to the door of the room. He opened the door and quickly helped Lu Shuangshuang into the room and locked the door. However, after Xiaoqin entered the room, an old face flashed at the end of the corridor. It was the old man that Lu Shuangshuang met in the bathroom before. As soon as he entered the room, Xiaoqin was stunned. How can I sleep like this? This room was actually a king-sized bedroom. There was only one king-sized bed in the room, and he and Lu Shuangshuang weren't really boyfriend and girlfriend. If they slept together, even if they didn't do anything, it would still be quite awkward. Xiaoqin pondered for a moment and threw Lu Shuangshuang on the bed first. Lu Shuangshuang seemed to have drunk too much. She fell on the bed in a daze and began to sleep. As for Xiaoqin, when he was washing up, he didn't know why he felt dazed. It was as if something had gone to his head. Did I really drink too much? Can juice get drunk? Xiaoqin felt that his vision was a little blurred. Just as he put Lu Shuangshuang down, his head was dizzy, and he fell directly on the bed. Elder Heaven Ancestor. What happened to me? Although Xiaoqin was unconscious, his subconscious was still there, and he subconsciously communicated with Elder Heaven Ancestor in his mind. What happened? You were drugged. Elder Heaven Ancestor said calmly. What? Me? Xiaoqin was stunned and suddenly felt a little depressed. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? You only told me after I was drugged? Did you already know about it? Nonsense, but I just won't tell you. Elder Heaven Ancestor said with a smile. Oh, what? Xiaoqin asked in shock. Weren't you arrogant before? Now you don't ask me anything and you make your own decisions. Then I won't be annoying and talk too much. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, Tell me, how long has it been since you last asked me for advice? I didn't want to disturb you. After hearing this, Xiaoqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This elder heaven ancestor was like a child and he was even angry? Yes, I also didn't want to disturb you. Seeing that you were quite drunk, I didn't stop you. Elder heaven ancestor said. Fainted. Then what do I do now? Xiaoqin asked with a bitter smile. There's nothing to do. There's no danger anyway. This kind of drug is nothing to you. You just need to circulate the mantra and use your yuan qi to dissolve it. You'll wake up soon. Elder Sky said indifferently. Okay. Xiaoqin could only nod helplessly. He was a little depressed that he was tricked by Elder Heaven Ancestor. He didn't dare to delay and quickly use the mantra, but he was a little puzzled. Elder Heaven Ancestor who drugged me? Why did they do this? It's the girl next to you. How would I know? Why don't you ask her yourself when you wake up? Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Lu Shuangshuang? Xiaoqin couldn't help but frown. The person he was least guarded against was Lu Shuangshuang. His drinks were basically poured by Lu Shuangshuang. He didn't think much about it, but in the end, the person who was least likely to do it had drugged him. However, what was the reason for Lu Shuangshuang to do this? Xiaoqin wanted to open his eyes and ask Lu Shuangshuang, but he couldn't wake up. He could only try his best to use the mantra to dissolve the drug in his body. Lu Shuangshuang, who was originally drunk, suddenly woke up after Xiaoqin fainted. She rolled out of bed and looked at the sleeping Xiaoqin. She carefully used her hand to poke Xiaoqin's arm. Xiaoqin didn't respond. After a while, Lu Shuangshuang poked Xiaoqin's arm again. Xiaoqin still didn't respond. Lu Shuangshuang finally relaxed. She didn't hesitate and reached out to unbutton Xiaoqin's shirt. At this moment, Lu Shuangshuang was like a thirsty young girl. She quickly stripped Xiaoqin's body, leaving only a pair of underwear behind. After hesitating for a while, Lu Shuangshuang clenched her teeth and pulled off Xiaoqin's underwear. Lu Shuangshuang's face was a little red. She didn't dare to look straight at it, but after a while she still looked carefully. Then she couldn't help but click her tongue. So big. He can't stab me to death, right? Fortunately it's fake. If I'm really his girlfriend, I'll have a hard time. At this moment, Lu Shuangshuang didn't hesitate. She didn't have so much time to think about whether she was shy or not. She quickly took off her clothes and only wore a small nightgown to cover her body. Then she quickly got out of bed and went to the windowsill. She opened the curtains a little. It looked like she was admiring the scenery outside, but in fact, Lu Shuangshuang was doing it for others to see. If it wasn't out of Lu Shuangshuang's expectation, the old man would definitely come to peep. Although he hadn't come yet, he would definitely come to check later. Lu Shuangshuang knew that he wouldn't give up, so she made this plan. After doing all this, Lu Shuangshuang quickly returned to the bed. She glanced at Xiaoqin, who was lying on the bed, and thought to herself, Xiaoqin, I'm not trying to trick you. I didn't do it on purpose. Anyway, although you've fainted, you've taken advantage of me. Don't blame me when you wake up. But anyway, after you wake up, you won't know anything. You definitely won't know what's going on. Thinking of this, Lu Shuangshuang directly sat on Xiaoqin's body. Her lower body was empty, so she sat directly between Xiaoqin's legs. Although Xiaoqin didn't have any physiological reaction, Lu Shuangshuang still felt a little weird. She peeked at Xiaoqin and found that he was still unconscious and motionless. Lu Shuangshuang was relieved. She kept hinting to herself in her heart that Xiaoqin was a cushion, and she was sitting on the cushion. It wasn't a big deal. Because she didn't know when the old man would come, Lu Shuangshuang could only rub herself on Xiaoqin's body. Before coming, she deliberately went to the internet cafe to download some short movies. She imitated the women in the movies and pretended to lick Xiaoqin's chest with her mouth as if she was flirting. Sure enough, as Lu Shuangshuang expected, it didn't take long for the old man in the bathroom to appear at the window of Lu Shuangshuang's room. This was the 4th floor and he actually came up directly. Moreover, he was lying on the window. How badass is this person? Lu Shuangshuang saw the old man from the corner of her eyes and she was shocked. Although she was prepared, she almost peed in her pants. This person seems to be floating outside. Is this a ghost? However, in order to completely get rid of the old man, Lu Shuangshuang gritted her teeth. After licking Xiaoqin's chest, she began to twist her body. Then, she imitated the way in the short movies and began to move up and down on Xiaoqin's body. Anyway, her lower body was covered by her nightgown. The old man couldn't see it from the outside. As long as she acted properly, the old man would definitely be confused. And Lu Shuangshuang felt a little embarrassed as she screamed. However, she had no choice. In order to make the old man believe her, she could only scream like a slut. Fortunately, Xiaoqin was unconscious. If he was awake and she asked him to cooperate, let's not talk about whether he would cooperate or not. Even if he did cooperate, she wouldn't be able to perform so boldly. She would definitely be embarrassed to death. The old man was outside the window. He looked into the room and saw Lu Shuangshuang riding on Xiaoqian's body. His face was a little gloomy. He didn't expect Lu Shuangshuang to really have a boyfriend so soon. Chapter 431. It seems that this chick has grown up and is hard to control. Now she has lost her virginity. She is completely worthless to me. The old man was a little annoyed. If I knew this would happen, I would have threatened her at that time. Now I have waited in vain. It must be known how difficult it was to cultivate a human cauldron, especially a woman with such a special physique. His expression was uncertain. He was thinking about how to teach Lu Shuangshuang a lesson. He couldn't just let it go like this. Xiaoqin ran the qi in his body to dissolve the knockout powder. This knockout powder was really nothing to Xiaoqin. It didn't take long for him to recover his willpower. Although he still couldn't open his eyes and speak, and the muscles of his body were still a little numb under the effect of the knockout powder, he could use his divine sense and spiritual power to perceive what was happening around him. At the same time, he narrowed his eyes and could also see outside. However, the scene that Xiaoqin saw almost made his blood boil, and his blood pressure had an attack. What the F***ck, what is this situation? Looking at Lu Shuangshuang sitting on him, twisting her waist and moving up and down, Xiaoqin was suddenly dumbfounded. Mother ***, am I being pushed down? This was the first thought that came to Xiaoqin's mind. It was no wonder that Xiaoqin thought too much. This posture, this riding posture, if it wasn't a push, what was it? But then Xiaoqin found that something was wrong because he didn't have that kind of feeling. After all, he had done it with Xinjingshan and Tang Tang. He knew the feeling of this kind of thing. Therefore, he was very clear that Lu Shuangshuang was simply moving on him and she didn't really do it. Could be said that it was more like acting. Just like some third-grade movies, the male and female protagonists seemed to be filming a passionate scene, but in fact it was not the case at all. It was just a random moan. What made Xiaoqin a little confused was why Lu Shuangshuang did this. Is this chick sick? She made me dizzy and then secretly played simulated sex? How could there be such a simple-minded woman in this world? If he really liked to play, he could buy a dummy to play with at home. However, even Xiaoqin had to admit that although Lu Shuangshuang was pretending, her voice was indeed very seductive, causing little Xiaoqin to have a reaction. Ah! Lu Shuangshuang screamed in pain. She suddenly felt a sharp pain coming from her lower body. It was heart-wrenching. Then very quickly she understood what was going on. It was Xiaoqin's little Xiaoqin. He suddenly reacted and stood up, but she didn't realize it. She was still happily acting, moving up and down like crazy. Then a tragedy happened. The fake act became real. Lu Shuangshuang had a feeling and so did Xiaoqin. He was also a little surprised. Just like that, they went in? Damn, it can't be, right? Lu Shuangshuang almost cried. Gone, the first time was gone just like that? It's over. What should I do? It's too much. And Xiaoqin almost cried too. She pushed him down for no reason. Was she asking him to take responsibility? Xiaoqin had always taken this aspect seriously. Although he was always thinking about when he could do it with Xinjingshan again, it was only limited to the person he liked. He wasn't a casual man. Even when he was the young master of the Xiao family, he never went to look for prostitutes. In his opinion, women could only develop to that stage if they had feelings. And once they developed, they would never give up. But what the hell was going on with Lu Shuangshuang? He didn't have time to think about it. It seemed that a warm feeling came from his lower body and entered his dantian. Xiaoqin quickly used the mantra to dissolve this warmth. And in his body, the demonic energy of the middle-aged woman that he didn't completely dissolve last time was now completely mobilized by Xiaoqin. It was swallowed by the warm feeling mixed with the vital energy in his body. Xiaoqin was slightly surprised. He didn't dare to be negligent. He couldn't care less about Lu Shuangshuang. He quickly used the mantra to change the vision in his body. Although Xiaoqin didn't know why his body felt this way, it was just like when he was with Xinjingshan. It seemed it could improve his strength. At this moment, Lu Shuangshuang was a little frightened and regretful. She sat there in a daze, but she didn't forget to get up. She just stared at Xiaoqin in a daze. Xiaoqin felt a little depressed and complicated. It was just a poke and it seemed like it was poked through. But, logically speaking, it couldn't be considered doing it. It could only be considered an accidental injury. But Xiaoqin really couldn't find a reason to convince himself to cut ties with Lu Shuangshuang in the future. Not to mention that Lu Shuangshuang had provided a lot of help to his cultivation. Now Xiaoqin could basically confirm that this could improve his cultivation, but he didn't know if it was effective the first time or every time in the future. In any case, his relationship with Lu Shuangshuang in the future was enough to give him a headache. Xiaoqin wanted to be strangers with her in the future, but could he? Xiaoqin was a man with a strong sense of male chauvinism. Since Lu Shuangshuang was already in a relationship with him, if Lu Shuangshuang followed someone else in the future, he would be disgusted to death. So I'll take it one step at a time. The most important thing for Xiaoqin to do right now was to dissolve the warm current and demonic energy in his body. The energy circulated in his body, and the speed was getting faster and faster. Soon Xiaoqin touched the edge of the barrier. Was he going to break through again? Xiaoqin was a little excited. Strength had always been his greatest desire. He knew that only with strength could he stand firm in Songning City and investigate the mastermind behind the scenes. As long as the mastermind behind the scenes was dealt with, he wouldn't have to worry about not being able to find clues about his father. These thoughts circled in Xiaoqian's mind. Soon, his body trembled as if the warm feeling, demonic energy and energy had intertwined and exploded. Boom! Xiaoqian felt a slight numbness in his meridians and elixir field. Then, his whole body seemed to have been suppressed for a long time and exploded in an instant. The previous feeling of obstruction was gone, but the warm feeling and demonic energy didn't disappear completely. There was still a part of it left. However, when Xiaoqian broke through the obstruction, it became obedient and lay on the side, no longer moving. As for the energy in Xiaoqian's body, there was only his own energy left. He had broken through. The current Xiaoqian was already a cultivator at the 8th level of the Qi refinement stage. In theory, it was equivalent to a martial artist at the 9th level of the inner force stage, or even the peak of the 9th level. However, at the moment when the energy exploded, Xiaoqian seemed to have been stimulated by something. At this moment it also exploded. This made Xiaoqian really speechless and he even felt a little ashamed. Even a fast gunman couldn't be this fast, right? He exploded in an instant? Isn't this too weak? This is really damaging to my heroic image. Moreover, what made Xiaoqian most depressed was that this was great. Previously he could have hinted that it was an accident, but now, he wouldn't believe it even if he said that he didn't do it. Although he really didn't do it at all. Lu Shuangshuang felt a heat under her body. Only then did she come back to her senses. She quickly turned over and got off. However, she was shocked to see that Xiaoqian's area was sticky, and there was even a trace of blood. At this moment, an unexplainable resentment surged in her heart. This guy Xiaoqian really knows how to take advantage of others. Is this even possible? Although Lu Shuangshuang didn't know much about this kind of thing, she had crammed a lot of porn before. This Xiaoqian's speed is too fast, right? She heard that only virgins would be so fast and be done in an instant. Now it seems that this guy is the same? Then, would he be able to accept her as his girlfriend? After thinking about it, Lu Shuangshuang felt that it was still impossible. Xiaoqian didn't know about it. He was still in a coma. Even if she told him later, it wouldn't be good. Sai Lu Shuangshuang, why are you so unlucky? Why did you have to encounter all sorts of bad luck? Ever since you were young, you and Lin Ke were really two great calamities, always bringing bad luck to each other. Sitting at the side, Lu Shuangshuang's feelings were a little complicated. She didn't know what to do in the future. In fact, although she was crazy every day, she was actually a very conservative person. Otherwise, she would have agreed to the old man a long time ago. Moreover, the conditions that the old man gave her also made her very tempted. Although she didn't know whether it was true or not, if she didn't care, she could test it out. There was no loss. But now she was inexplicably played by Xiaoqian. She really didn't know who to blame. In the end, she couldn't blame Xiaoqian. Why? The old man's blood surged as he watched from the outside. With the moonlight, he could see the sticky and bright red blood on Xiaoqian's body. The old man naturally understood what was going on. What did she mean by sleeping with him before? It was clearly his first time just now. He had a feeling that he had been fooled by Lu Shuangshuang. He wanted to kill this adulterous couple to vent his anger. Bang! The glass of the room was directly smashed by the old man's kick. With a whoosh, the old man rushed in and shouted, Lu Shuangshuang, you be ***. Since I can't have it, you can go to hell. Lu Shuangshuang was shocked, and her face suddenly turned pale. She didn't expect the old man to suddenly rush in and kill people. She even forgot that the old man was around just now. Her mind was completely stuck in the annoyance of losing her first time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have ignored the old man. But now it was too late to say anything. She believed that the old man had already discovered the problem. Don't mess around. It's none of his business. Lu Shuangshuang was shocked. Although she was very angry with Xiao Chen for being dishonest and injuring her inexplicably, it was still an accident in the end. She was the one who asked Xiao Chen to help. How could she watch Xiao Chen be killed by the old man? It's none of his business? The old man suddenly sneered. You're quite infatuated. You know how to protect your man. But it doesn't matter. No matter what you say today, the two of you will die without a doubt. I'll let the two of you die together as a pair of lovebirds. I've done my best. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.